Hey everyone, and welcome to F4 Obsessed, a deep dive, a weekly show where we discuss F4 Thailand from a symbolic and meta perspective. I'm Ty, your host, and my co-host is Marie Claire, who I call MC. Say hi, MC.
Hello, everyone. One more to go.
One more to go. Oh my god. If you don't already know, we are Hana Yori Dango fans, and we truly adore this story. This episode is called The Neverland, and it was amazing. And I can say we both absolutely loved it. It's one of the best episodes, for so many reasons. But yeah, we just wanted to do a couple things before we totally get into it. We wanted to remind everyone that the week following the last episode, the week following the finale on Saturday, April 16th, at the same time that the episode normally airs, we are going to do a live show, a live stream, where we are going to do a bunch of fun things. That's all going to be about the fandom and about our fandom experience, the stuff that we've all experienced together throughout this whole journey of watching the show together live.
And a little bit about the whole show, right? Like
Yep.
Now that we've seen all of it, having an opportunity to look at the whole thing.
Yeah, covering things that we otherwise would not have been able to fully analyze the whole time. And also we're gonna probably do some polls, do some Google forms on Twitter and whatnot. So look out for those on Twitter. We're gonna get some input from you guys so that we can talk about the things that you want us to talk about on that live stream. So definitely look out for that. I'll be posting it under like the Wit and Folly Twitter account, which is at wit_folly.
You could also link to them in the liner notes, like once you post them, in case people check this out throughout the week, and then they can jump directly onto Twitter and vote, or add a form comment, or yeah.
I'll try to link stuff in the liner notes as well, or maybe in a comment below. So look out for that. Okay, I think that's it for that, and we'll get into our comments review. So these are comments, just in case you don't know, they're comments from the previous episode. We just grabbed a few for this week that provided some fun things to kind of discuss before we jump into the new episode.
Yep. All right. So the first comment is from Nightmare. When Auntie Yu was packing things for Tom and Gorya, it felt to me like she was getting them ready for war. Like she was like, Tom would need this, pointing to the fur jacket, his animal skin. But I can't see what she was getting for Gorya because Rosalyn stopped her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think like generally speaking, the two of them are stronger together, right? So
yeah. And that was like, Auntie Yu sees that and she knows that. So clearly in that scene when she's like, yes, give me this. Also, we need to get this for Gorya, like, because they're a unit.
Yeah.
So I like that. Melody said, I keep thinking of Gorya's heroine's journey and her healing the mother-daughter split. Often I thought she didn't seem disconnected before. She was confident in who she was, connected to nature, comfortable with her choices. Then we get, as you mentioned, her confronting the Dark Mother. When Gorya is tested by Rosalyn, not only does she say something cruel and hurtful, which is unlike her, but she gives up. She justifies it as a sacrifice for others and feels successful, but that's an illusion. I think she will face shame and grief for abandoning her true self and will need to strip away those shadows to reconnect with the feminine, at which point she can return, revive her relationships, balance the feminine and masculine for when she's tested again, and just move forward in life with more faith in herself. Yeah. So this is, we've been talking about heroine's journey throughout, and this is 100% correct. And I love that, Melody like is saying, well, I want this for her too. Cause once you start to see this pattern, you start to say, wait a second, like this is getting us to someone who's more confident and believes in her power. And, although she has to go through all this suffering, this is good, because it's just like, Melody said in her comment, like, I thought she was fine. I thought, Gorya was developed and in this way, but she wasn't. And that it comes out whenever she faces Rosalyn and the choices she makes then. So everything that happens in the next episode is getting her to that place. So
yeah, and I also think that it's healing the mother-daughter split is not just about
mothers
healing
and
your
yeah,
split with your own mother. It's
yeah,
actually healing the split you have with the former generation of motherhood / femininity and the ancient wisdom that you have within that.
Yeah, it's not, this is
The woman,
something.
yeah, the woman who runs with wolves like talks about that. Like it's about not denying the things, the wisdom of ancients, even if it's that Rosalyn made nothing but mistakes. That's still
Exactly.
something that's important.
Yeah. So in this case, healing the mother-daughter split is actually, for Gorya, it's more about Gorya and Rosalyn. Because in this love story, this is the heroine's journey can be a lot of things, but this is a love story that is following the heroine's journey. And when you are getting married to someone, you're marrying into their family, and therefore Rosalyn is already, from the symbols that we've seen, is already her mom. So they have to heal that. And this is, like you said, this is the bigger message is about feminine wisdom being handed down,
even if it's like learning from my mistakes, quote unquote, like that's also really, really important. And to not to know that there is wisdom in the fact that we all come from the same species, like
yeah,
we are
totally.
all made of the same stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So Sita Topali said, I don't know if anyone else commented on Gorya's pink shirt and the label. The clothing line is Earth, pronounced Earth. It is a clothing store in Thailand. No. I sometimes bring up like the brands, etc., if there's like symbolic meaning behind it, which there always is, and sometimes I just can't find what the brand is, especially for Gorya's stuff. It's much easier with the 4 boys.
Oh, that's so true. Yeah. I this comment had a lot more explanation. So Sita went into kind of the meaning of Earth that they found online, which was really helpful. And it's kind of what you think it would be. It's a lot of caring for humanity and all of that. However, I did want to point out that Earth, spelled URTH, which is not very different from this particular spelling, is another way, is another spelling for the Norse god of fate, the Norse goddess of fate, mind you. So it's another goddess reference. It's crazy that we're getting a lot of these, but the Norse goddess of fate, and I believe that's the kissing shirt that we're talking about. So that's interesting. And then Hufflin Puffs said, Rosalyn made me so, and then a bunch of angry face emojis, this episode. She played so dirty in how she was willing to win by any means, even dropping the C card.
Yeah.
The most diabolical play than any other version. Like, WTF, lady. Also, with Rosalyn, her name means pretty / beautiful rose, and often these roses have thorns. I keep imagining with her thorns have overshadowed the beauty of the rose, now growing into thorny vines, and those vines are snaking around the prince like in Sleeping Beauty to keep him sequestered away from the heroine who wants to save him. I was so happy you brought this up, because I kind of forgot about that imagery. I kind of forgot about that in terms of the fairy tale of it all.
Yeah.
Because we're so focused on, like, Gorya's journey, and she's not she's not Sleeping Beauty. She's not asleep, you know, she's not ignorant. She has her own heroine's journey that she's going on.
She's
But
not waiting in the tower for him to rescue her,
exactly.
but she is needing to be awoken. It's a different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why we like looking at it this way, right? Because you have like the hero's journey, you have the heroine's journey that are different. And when you have them together, you get analogs of different myths and different stories and different fairy tales going on, and they're affecting each other a certain way. So you can have these references to both Sleeping Beauty, but also not have Gorya actually be a damsel in distress. Like, it's okay to have both of these things happening.
Yeah, and primarily what's happening in both of these journeys is because they're falling in love at the same time, or in the course of the same journey, they're also falling in love with the pieces of themselves that they see in the other person's eyes.
Exactly.
That's kind of like one of the major things. Like in Sleeping Beauty, it's a metaphor for being awoken and falling in love with yourself. Right? The masculine aspects of yourself that you haven't ever seen before, the power, the ability to go and fight dragons and go through thorny briars.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
the strength that she sees in him to overcome such a powerful adversary and
magically
her.
Magically awoken by Acacia's symbolism to be like, you've been broken out of the spell that you were under,
right?
And now you have that power with that mate. Like, there's no other way you can look at it in a modern lens without it being problematic. And story is not problematic on its own. It's only a lens by which we can view our own psychology.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, we might talk more about that. Yeah, there's a bunch of this episode is
before we get into
crazy.
This, because like we talk about it every episode now because it is so important, especially as we're getting close to the end,
right?
Like, people feel, especially now that they're viewing 15 out of 16 episodes, right? So we're talking about 7.5/8 of the show, right?
Yeah.
They're able to see the full archetypical structure of what Tom and Gorya have gone through. And a lot of people are like, wow, this really reminds me of X.
Yes. People are making a lot of parallels, or like jumping to, wait, this is like that one time in, you know, Fern Gully, or in Moana, or in Frozen, or in Kung Fu Panda, or in, like, there was a lot of talk about that today, which I thought was really interesting, because what these stories have in common is that they're pulling on the same threads of not only hero's journey stuff, not only like Campbell, because Disney is heavily inspired by Campbellian storytelling, but also with Murdoch's heroine's journey. And it's like
Disney is also heavily inspired by Murdoch's heroine's journey, as like all of the executives in the late 90s had to read the book.
Right.
That's documented. Like,
that still blows my mind. And a lot of those
but you see it really heavily in Frozen 1 and 2.
Right.
Like Frozen 2, like they both are in different caves at the same time at their lowest point, and then discover their own internal power.
Exactly.
Right. So but why is this all the same? Because it's not like, parallels, of course, but it's because it's following human psychology.
Yes,
this feels good.
It's
because
satisfying.
It speaks to a lower part of our brain that needs to hear it.
It speaks to something that's happening under the surface, and everyone can relate to this all over the world from any culture. And it's not, it's not just Campbell, right? Because Campbell is a
No.
guy who was in, he's like
He was just
in the
taking
West and
stories and then interpreting them
right.
into a structure. And you and I will like disagree with some of what Campbell says in how he says it or what his interpretation of it is. So that's
Yeah.
where like you and I explore Murdoch, or we explore folklore, or we
Yes.
explore other people who also talk about this, because although like people have their own interpretations, it gets back to the same thing, which is that humans are telling effectively mythology to themselves.
Exactly.
And mythology, personalized mythology, is just the stories that we tell about our own experiences. And so when that's fictionalized, it's a mythology that speaks to all of us individually. And then we're able to see the seeds of those stories as a reflection of our own experiences.
Right. Yeah, we're able to understand, especially if you open your mind to it. Like, I can't relate to these characters realistically. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
like what it is to be in their world. I didn't have those experiences, at their age. But you can relate to little nuggets. You can relate, like you said, like to certain seeds of it. And that's because we're all a part of the human experience. And this journey is relatable in that we're all going to have
trials, challenges, confronting of a mother-in-law, going through a trial where it feels like a life or death situation that really makes us reevaluate how we've thought about ourselves and the world we live in.
Yep.
And when we look back on our life, we're going to tell a story to ourselves and others about what it meant to us.
Yeah. Yep. Totally. All right. So where is Tom on his journey right now? Last week, we talked about him being in the refusal of the return, because now he has all this power. And because he was rejected by Gorya again, he decides to just stay there. Like he had all these plans to bring the elixir back to the community, but he decides that he's going to stay where he's at. And that is what the refusal of the return is usually about. But in this episode, he is pulled from that with the
forcibly.
Forcibly. He's pulled through the next threshold with the help of his friends, who remind him, what life is all about and what is the most important thing. And the lesson that he had learned before, they remind him of that lesson, and it brings him through the return threshold. And the reason I have both of these next steps circled is, and Claire and I were talking about this before we started recording, was that these things are kind of happening at the same time. Because the rescue from without, when you're saved by your community, that is, how, that's proof that you are affecting people and that your journey is important and your lessons that you're learning are important, and the things that you have learned are rubbing off on other people.
Yeah.
And those
it's often in the form of a pep talk or like an intervention.
Yeah.
Exactly like how this happened, or a rescue because former villains turned into allies.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Something like that, where your interference in the world and your journey has now caused others to grow too.
Right.
Why is this important?
Because it's proof. It's like, well, it's this is a part of bringing the elixir back. This is like a part of changing and healing the whole of the community. And they could not have been more explicit about it.
They were extremely explicit with this. Yeah. No, they were extremely explicit with the concept that if you put love, compassion, and like caring for others genuinely out into the universe, it will heal others, and then everybody will grow because of it.
We can change the world.
We can change the world.
Hello.
So like we've talked about how this show is like a fairy tale, and like last week it felt like we finally got like an epiphany. Like I was like, what if it's like a fairy tale for Thailand.
Yeah,
And like, yeah,
it is.
it is.
Yeah.
And we got that confirmation this week, and I'm shook.
Mhm.
Sometimes the return threshold is not really so much of a step as just like the space between two steps,
Yeah.
right? Like he's kind of at the refusal of the return this episode at the beginning,
Mhm.
and then saved by the community, right? Like so
Yes.
it's
Yes.
just like literally him being tied up and like breaking out of those bonds was the threshold.
Right. Because he also like the staying up all night to write plan B. That's kind of the elixir.
Yeah.
But I want to say, because we don't really know exactly what's going to happen in the next episode, there could be more to that. There could be more
Yeah.
that comes from the amnesia stuff, and with the fact that we know Gorya is not going to stand for that. She's going to bring him back from his lost
Mhm.
memories. That's also rescue from without. And we talked
Yeah, and
about mhm.
if he reverts to being a jerk, which I like traditionally in the manga he doesn't.
Mm,
His personality is like forever changed at this point.
right,
It's just he doesn't remember Gorya.
right,
He is a better person. He loves F4, but he doesn't remember Gorya.
right.
It's like she didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So the challenge that she faces is entirely hers,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
fits with the heroine's journey.
Yeah. So let's go to that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I made this, argument that the reason why the amnesia stuff has to happen is because he has fought for her for so
Yeah.
many times for this
Yeah.
whole show, and she hasn't really had a chance to fight for him, like to really be like, no, we're going to be together whether you like it or not, right? She hasn't had
Yeah.
a chance to do that, and so this is going to be her ability to do that. And where
Oh
we're
man,
at,
the manga has some like heartbreaking stuff. Like she tells him that he loves her, and he's like, I hate women like you.
yeah, I remember that.
Like there's a
I remember
lot of
that.
that, and it's like in some of the versions too, and it's
Yeah,
like it's very hard.
it is. And
So
there's
we'll
also
see like the
mhm,
subplot where a girl tries to like
yeah,
be his like
and he likes
girlfriend.
her a little bit more. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
that's another fake
Who
bride,
knows? I
whatever.
don't know
Yeah.
if they have time to do that.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, they won't. But it's gonna be interesting what they choose to do in terms of
Mhm.
how he's gonna treat her. But she's at where she's at right now on her journey. Last week she was descent on her descent to the goddess within, because she confronted the dark mother with Rosalyn, and then she tumbled further into her inner feminine, where she goes back home. We talked about how she's carrying her little sprout on her shoulder on the train, and she takes that home to grow. And it's funny because on the train I think she was wearing like black and gray, and she goes
Yeah.
home and she's wearing green at home a
Yeah.
lot, which means that she's digging back into the earth and trying to grow, and that's her reconnecting with the feminine. And she has typically we get, it's not always a realization, like it's not like an apotheosis necessarily like there is in the hero's journey, but it is a realization of sorts. And that happens with her discovering her inner power, her understanding her inner power. And that's when she's shown the video of Tom, and it's told to her that this all is because of her, like the
Yeah.
change in everyone, Lita and Mira and Tom, it's all because of
So
her.
explicit.
Yeah, so explicit. This is the power that you have, Gorya, that's shown to her by Ren. And then obviously the next part is the healing and reclaiming, testing your inner power. And that's when you kind of have to make do with the all these things that you've learned in your journey so far.
Yeah.
And that's when she goes back to Bangkok to face Tom again. And you can just see it in her face that she's confident and she's ready and she believes in herself. She believes in her self-worth for probably the first time in this show.
Yeah. she believes in herself. And like there is like some final testing, right? Because there's going to be a confrontation with Rosalyn, right? So that'll be more of the healing and reclaiming.
Yes.
And then healing of Tom, which is healing the wounded masculine, literally everything. And reminding him of the journey that they've been on. Exactly. And then we'll get a beautiful denouement for both.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask you about like, so traditionally, like she comes in touch with her own internal power, which has been there the whole time. And to use the Frozen parallel.
Yeah, totally.
Right. So Elsa's power has been this, like, you know, out of control goddess power of ice. But Anna's power is actually the power of love. And it was always that sisterly love. And it was always there through the time. But she was able to remind Elsa of that sisterly love through the course of the adventure. That's just basically what happened, right?
Right.
So what is Gorya's power? Right?
Yeah, she grows people. She helps them grow. And more mythically.
She is the only one that can grow the non-changing celestials. These powerful people, these star children.
Yeah.
Like she grew Mira, she grew Lita, she grew all of the F4, and they all see that.
Yeah.
No one else can grow them. She can grow them. She's not really good at a lot else, unfortunately. Certainly not growing or managing the orchard.
Right.
She's trying so hard, but that's not where her particular gardening skills actually lie. She's good at gardening meteors.
Yes, exactly.
That's the point.
Yeah.
And it's so fairy tale. Like you're digging in the wrong soil. You should be digging in celestial soil. It's even off in this episode.
Yeah, it is. It is. And they make it very clear that wait a second, like, because she's like, I'm not going to go back. I'm not going back. And then as soon as she sees that, as soon as she understands her power and realizes it for the first time,
she has to go back.
I have to go back. Yeah.
I'm the gardener to the stars. Like, that's like, it's like, we haven't said it yet. So I'm just, what is this show?
What the heck is this show? I cursed a lot with that today.
It's like, it gets like, you're like, am I crazy? No, the show is just like this.
So crazy. It's so crazy. Yeah, I was losing my mind today. This one really just, God, this was so crazy. It really got me. All right, let's dig into the episode. So
we got this like amazing like this, like she's on the ground, she's like fighting, and then he shows up and is like, oh, this fake out. Okay, I was like, he's not really there. I knew it.
I thought that too. Yeah,
like I just know what they've done in past versions, right? It's never him that makes it.
No, he doesn't really show up. And also it's funny because we see later a better shot of this vision that she has of him, and he's wearing that, but the banana shirt, the half and half shirt. And I mean, I love that she sees him in this outfit. It's great. But also I wanted to point out that that's why 2 had that video of
because he was
Bright
there, like Tom, like, or Bright was there, but
Yep.
he wasn't Bright. It was a vision of Bright, which they haven't used too many visions of things. Like there's a lot in the manga and a lot in some of the other versions, but this was good. And I love that he's wearing his animal skin.
Yep.
She's like, I need
that. I need that monster.
I need the powerful beast to protect me. And like, who doesn't give? Honey Badger don't care. She needed like, right? Like she's like, I need the Tom who will show up even though I've told him to not show up.
Yeah.
Exactly. Honey Badger don't care. Yeah, no, you broke him, Gorya. You broke him.
Yeah, poor baby.
Yeah,
she says, I never escaped the trouble. Like she tried to get as far away as she could from all of that, and she's kind of has that vision, and she's like, I never really escaped at all. And again, this is sort of a fake out, but the meaning still stands that Gorya attracts trouble.
Yeah, no, she does. Yeah. And it's because she isn't in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
Like what we've talked about, how when you're a star bride,
Mm-hmm.
as soon as you're going to be a star bride, you're already a star bride. And so the normal world is no longer right for you.
Right, right. You don't belong there. You
You,
belong in the
yeah.
sky. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Ooh, the Neverland. Let's talk
the
about the Neverland.
Neverland. Yes.
Randomly, we talked about
Mhm.
Peter Pan symbolism
Yep.
in One Last Cry.
Yeah, in our deep dive of One Last Cry, the music video, the OST music video, we talked about it, and we were talking about, I think the context was that we were talking about how Gorya is like windy, and how the with the window symbolism, and
Yeah.
how the singer in that music video, there's like the window and she sings out of the window, and it's like waiting for someone to come and take her, just like with Wendy and
Yeah.
Peter
Which
Pan.
is all just like the whole concept of Peter Pan is cusp of adulthood, and you're
Yeah.
not willing to grow up and really do what you need to do. And then there's a lot of symbolism around, the forbidden, scary Captain Hook, and sexual
Mhm.
desires as a young woman versus the Peter Pan and the Lost Boys, and like the playing pretend of being married and taking care of the family and
Yep.
things like that. And the
Yep.
concept of Neverland is, when you go there, you never have to grow up.
Yeah, and I feel like with the Neverland, this is so funny because it does kind of show up randomly. Like we haven't really seen Peter
Mm-mm.
Pan symbology before in the show, at least not like this, like not
Overtly, yeah.
overtly. But to me, the fact that they're showing the different worlds and whatnot is that the whichever world you're living in that is keeping you from progressing is your Neverland.
Yeah.
And you can learn in Neverland with the help of allies, with the help of friends, that
Mm-hmm.
you
And
can't stay,
adventures.
and
Yeah.
adventures. You can learn there that you can't stay there forever.
Yeah.
But that's ultimately the lesson you have to learn in Neverland, is that you can't stay in Neverland.
Yeah.
And this goes for both Gorya and Tom, is that she's in this lush, beautiful landscape, the countryside, and he's in this cold corporate world in the concrete jungle, and they are both in Neverland.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to be told, like, you can't stay here, you have to find your own way, you have to find your own world together going forward. So
And your concept of being adult is childish.
yeah. Oh, and that's, yeah, both of
Right?
them,
It's
both of
the
them.
pretend adult, like what
Yep.
Peter Pan and
And
Wendy
Wendy.
do
Mhm.
in Neverland. They
Exactly.
pretend to be adults instead of being adults.
Yep.
They play house. Wendy tells the Lost Boys stories and takes care of them.
Mhm.
And Peter goes out and has adventures and then comes home to Wendy darling.
Right.
Like, it's just like it's not fully realized adulthood.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and I would say that in terms of like which analogs are which, I think that Peter Pan in this story is actually more like Ren for Gorya. So like Goya's Peter Pan is like Ren in this episode.
Yes. Ren
Let me stay here with you.
offered to build a family and a home in this place where she didn't have to grow up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But with Tom is like
Tom is Tom.
Tom is Tom. Yeah, like Tom is Tom. But yeah, the Neverland symbolism stuff is really kind of shocking and kind of fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, it's as shocking as Tulip Mania.
Yes.
It came up. It's just odd that we had already talked about this.
Yeah,
like,
it's
just
weird.
funny.
Again, that goes back to our point earlier when we were talking about, parallels. Like,
yeah.
we were looking at parallels for that music video. But that music video had symbology from the show. And when these kinds of things are tapping into our subconscious, we're reminded of other stories that are also doing that, stories that impacted us and stories that have stuck with us in those ways. So
Yeah, and made formative memories and influenced us.
yeah,
What
totally.
did you think of Shooting Star as the instrumental piano and strings version?
Oh, it was so good, but it was also like, in retrospect, because I didn't know what to think about it like at that moment, but in retrospect, I feel like it's uh childish, like like almost like a nursery version of the
Yeah.
song.
Yeah, it feels kind of like a lullaby or like a
Mm,
children's story or
yeah.
something. It was really interesting. I know we had heard it before, and sometimes they play up the strings, but
Yeah.
with the piano it made it more childlike.
Mm-hmm.
And
It did.
when you use strings in piano, it feels very raw.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I like the use of it because one thing that we, you know, discovered when we deep dived into Shooting Stars, the OST, is
Mm-hmm.
that it's entirely about Gorya,
Yeah.
even though it is sung by F4. It's all about how they're there
Mm-hmm.
because they need her to help them grow. And the
Yeah.
more she grows, the more they grow. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, this is the perfect choice. In some ways, I kind of wish we had Who Am I consistently through the show, but I'm
Mm.
good with how they've changed it up.
Yeah. It's like prepping us for the story that's about to come. Like,
Yeah.
they're saying like, this is about the shooting star. The shooting star is Gorya, and Gorya realizing she can't stay in Neverland forever. And like,
Yeah.
they're saying all of this through the title and through the title sequence. It's bizarre.
I have no doubt it's going to be Who Am I in the end episode because of the amnesia arc.
Oh, that would be interesting. Yeah.
Because
Wait,
it's
is this the well, that's I mean that's the one they always play though, but yeah.
no, but I mean, I have no doubt about it because it's
Right.
literally like Tom saying, Who am I?
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
It is like the climax of the show and like the point of the
Yeah.
show. And this is just accentuated because of the amnesia.
Oh my God, I just realized that it's like full circle. Like, who am
Mm-hmm.
I figuratively, and then literally, who am I?
Yeah.
That's where the show is going to end.
That's what
I
I was
mean,
trying to
it's
say.
the last conflict. Yeah, sorry. I was putting it together like as you were
Oh,
saying it. I was like, wait a second. This is the whole point of the show. Yeah.
yes.
Who, like, why didn't we talk about that before? Like, defending the amnesia plot. There you go. There's the defense. That's the entire point of the whole show. It's like
The
the
entire
final
point of
conflict.
yeah, that he can find himself in amongst all of this change and it can become who truthfully who he is.
Mm. Who are you even when you don't remember anything? Oh, this is gonna be so good. All right. Anyways,
Yeah.
back to
So
the episode.
we get this idyllic version of the countryside,
Mm-hmm.
which is cute. And we get like, but no, it's exhausting.
It's exhausting. She's like double exhaustion, triple exhaustion. I am so exhausted. And she is doing a lot. She's doing the hard work, but she's also doing the smart work for her family. She's doing
Yeah.
the handling of the money. She's got like the big calculator where she's like, wait a second, you're overcharging us. Um, and
Getting
then
them out of problems.
yep, getting him out of they show her changing a light bulb. Like and she's doing everything for everyone.
Yeah.
And it reminds us a lot about the time when she was doing everything for Tom.
Yeah.
So she hasn't escaped any of her problems, really.
My question for you is was the family okay without her?
No. I think they were totally like lying every time they video called her, and or they're like, you're fine, you stay at school and everything's fine. Like, absolutely not. They were trying to let her stay kind
Yeah.
of in ignorance. Yeah.
She also chose not to go to school
Yeah.
to fix their problems.
Yeah.
It should never be a kid's responsibility to fix their parents' problems.
Well, that's a big thing with we might have talked about this before, but older daughters, that's a
Mm-hmm.
huge thing. It's in all of our myths. that older daughters always have the responsibility of taking care of not only the other children, but their own parents in a lot of cases. Like all of the responsibility is put on them because girls are supposed to be smart, and they're supposed to be responsible, and they're supposed to understand the needs of others and how to care for others. Like it's expected of them to take care of their families. Whereas if you have like an older son, they're not expected to do the same thing. They're expected to go out into the world and work and then give money back to their family later. But girls, they're expected to take care of the home. So so yeah, that's something you'll see in a lot of stories. But she basically, they're talking about money.
Yeah, and you can't see it in any of these shots except for a little bit as she leans onto Glacko. Her shirt says survived in beige and then green.
Yeah, that's right. I wrote that one down too. Because she's just surviving, right? Like she's not thriving, she's not learning, she's growing, she's, you know, in her own way, but she is essentially surviving. And they talk about how they're pawning things off for extra money, and they're really just barely getting by. And she's like, you know, you should sell my stuff. And her mom's like, absolutely not. You got to keep your school uniforms, like just in case you need to go back to school. Like she believes that Gorya is not done with.
And to me, that's like keeping the school uniform is just proof that her mom realizes she actually hasn't grown up yet. Like you still need to graduate, i.e. become an adult. And you're not quite there yet. But like now, because she was in the same class as like Jane and the other mean girls and Haning, she hasn't graduated because she's a year behind.
And she's gonna have to like catch up and stuff, which I was thinking about that today, and I'm like, oh, we are gonna probably just end this, but they might do a time jump. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, she's in her uniform.
I don't think they're gonna
there's a shot of her in her uniform.
Are you talking about in the for that? Yeah, I think that's gonna happen, but I think they're gonna also do a time jump.
I think they'll do a time jump as well to show like she went back to school.
Yeah, I hope so.
Or maybe while he has amnesia, she's in school. So we find out that her aunt had like run up debts and then run away.
Also, I wanted to point out that Gorya has emotionally isolated herself from her family. So she's not telling them what is actually going on inside of her. And when in Murdoch's heroine's journey, like she talks about how women isolate themselves from loved ones whenever they're going through this particular part of their journey, and they have to a lot of women go through like bouts of depression in a way. Like they isolate themselves and they work really, really hard, but they essentially like don't talk to people about what's happening inside. And it's only when they're able to really work through the pain and embrace the pain and cry and like really just allow all their emotions to come out, that's when they're able to finally connect with other people again. And that's exactly what happens with Gorya. But so then we have the realization that the aunt swindled the whole village.
This is huge foreshadowing of Rosalyn and her actions and how that led to violence.
Oh, it is. Yeah, you're right.
Because it's the same reaction, right? Like the village is swindled of money and their reaction is to go and take the money back or be violent against the family, even if it's not the same person.
Yeah. Her solution to all this is she's gonna go on the internet and look for quick loans, which is terrible idea. And her brother. You want to talk about her shirt?
Yeah, well, she's wearing actually the black rose shirt again in red, which says hate.
It's the Tom shirt. It's the Beast shirt or something. Right?
It's his. Well, it's the one she wore before the date with Tom to the zoo.
It's the one she puts on when she's like ready to confront something. Like,
yes.
she has to
Yeah.
problem solve. She puts on this one when she has to problem solve, and she's inspired by Tom's like
Power.
Yeah.
Like this is like my Beast shirt. It's bizarre. But her brother Glacko is wearing a Monkey D. Laffy or Straw Hat Laffy shirt, which is also hilarious because in the same episode, the zoo episode, Tom in his red outfit wore like a straw hat, like safari hat, and everyone compared him to Straw Hat Laffy from One Piece. Like,
yeah, people brought that up in our comments a few times.
This is too meta.
Yeah,
like
it's very weird.
Like they both need Tom there, and he's there but not. Like,
yeah,
it's weird.
It is weird.
Yeah. And like she's still stressing about stuff because she doesn't have anyone to lean on and just like emotionally support her.
Yeah.
Like, because she doesn't rely on her family, and like she's missing her community, right? Which is like the next part. And her extended family and the people that, because like her family's important to her, but it's not enough, right?
Exactly. It's not enough because she's not doing what she needs to do for herself. So yeah, we get that video of the flower shop. Like,
people are like, is this him being kidnapped? Like last week when they saw this,
they fooled us.
No, I know, but she's just upset because she can't be with the people that genuinely she loves. Like she loves her family again, but she's not growing with them. She grows with her extended family, her expanded family, F4, Hanning, and Uncle Ga. Like,
yeah. And I also wanted to bring up that something also happens here musically that has not happened before. And it will not happen again, at least in this episode. There's that really, really low clarinet that plays in the background during this scene. And typically, like, I kind of like looked it up because I'm not really good at like musical theory, but I know this sound. And I was like, I recognize this sound. This is a very, old technique. And I found a composer talking about it where he was saying that this is very like melancholy, and it also means like it also feels ironic. So what's happening in the scene, it's supposed to feel like, you don't feel very good about it, but you don't really know why, and you know that things are like wrong, but it's also it's a pleasant sound, so it's not horrific or anything like that, but it doesn't make you feel good. It makes you feel concerned and confused. And it's a very old technique, and you typically find it in like 80s and prior. You don't really find it in like modern movie making or modern shows. It's an old sound. So I just thought that was really cool that we got something musically that we haven't gotten before. So
right. I love that because music hits us on a level that's similar to symbolism.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, sound design, music, it hits us in a place that like we're not expecting.
Yeah, and this one hit me hard. Like, I was like, this is weird. Like, this is like my childhood movies that I watched when I was a kid. Like, it didn't feel like anything new. It felt very old and nostalgic. So yeah, and at first I thought it was an oboe or something, but I looked it up and it was like a really low register clarinet. So yeah.
The oboe is the closest thing to the human voice.
Yeah, I thought the oboe was like somehow like lower, but it's not. It's the clarinet can go really low. I don't know, but anyways.
Yes.
Yeah, it shows how much I know, but I learned something. But yeah, we get the two extremes, right?
Yes.
The fact that we see there's like a zoom out of her being in that lush jungle, which we talked about before, and then they cut to the concrete jungle that Tom is in, and where we go back with Ren facing him and trying to convince him to care about Gorya.
Oh my god, this scene was so good.
This was so good.
It was so good.
Good God. I was like, okay, and they're fighting, like when they fight, it is hot. Like it is hot.
Yeah. Is killing it. Like I'm shocked all the time at like how good everybody is.
Yeah.
And like Tom is justified in saying like she's the one who like walked away, dude. Like, why are you here? Why are you bothering me with this thing that I've put like nowhere far behind me? Because I think about her every day.
Yeah.
You know, and then he says like there's nothing left. And that really like it stuck with me because he's trying to convince Ren that he is the monster and there's none of this human stuff left. Like
nope, nothing of Gorya is here. You do not see Gorya anywhere in my world anymore. She is gone. Yep. You also hear like the snakes in the grass noise here.
It's kind of like sand in an hourglass. You also hear heartbeat. Heartbeat too. So there's like a lot of that similar sound. It's sometimes sand in a hourglass, and then sometimes there's like a more of a shh, like back and forth. It was both. I was like, well, because sometimes how they do that is they actually have like sand on a screen and they tip it one way and it makes like a constant sound, and then they sometimes will move it back and forth and it creates the shh, like it's kind of like moving. So they did both, which is it's both sand and snake.
Yeah. I didn't even think about the sand thing. I saw, I think Doodle Doodle on Twitter pointed out, and I was like, time symbolism. Like
yeah, and time
about it.
Yeah, which Tia calls him Thyme.
That bothered me
because we've been working so hard to call him Tom.
Yeah.
This whole series, except for the first episode, and now she's like Thyme. I'm like, right? But you can be both, I guess. Fine.
It was very strange. It's really, really threw me every single time. I was like, stop saying his name. You got to stop because like this is really bothering me. Oh goodness. But he says, Ren says, or no, so Tom says, haven't you seen my new world? My new world. It has nothing to do with her. And then Ren spits back, like, basically, is that so? Like, is her world really not connected to yours? And then we cut to exactly what he means by that, which is that the economy is being affected by what Tom's doing.
He owns the market she's trying to sell fruit in.
Yeah.
Like, it's, dude, you cannot, it's like, the key thing is that no matter how far Gorya went away, unless she left Thailand, which would mean like she kind of left the fairy tale, she's going to be affected by you.
Exactly. And she spills the pineapples, the basket with pineapples. Or like if somebody, he throws it. The guy throws it. Yeah. And the funny thing here is, like, I actually had in my emoji guess a basket, right?
Yeah.
Because like baskets are really symbolic of like harvests and goddesses and feminine energy and feminine goddesses, and you know, they're receptacles, they hold things, but baskets are, you know, weaved typically by women. Basket weaving is like a big, you know, thing that women pass down in ancient cultures, and it's always associated with like this kind of goddess type of thing. And the fact that this man tosses it and empties the basket of pineapples, which are associated often with royalty and associated with, like, especially it's a callback to
Meteor Garden 2018.
Yep, to Dalmingsa in Meteor Garden 2018 and him being a pineapple head.
Yeah.
So it's just, again, just hitting home like all the symbolism that we've seen before, and just telling Gorya that, like,
This isn't the only
She's-
time in this episode alone that they make reference to Tom being a version of the past, like version of him. Like he's related to these other past like versions. So I actually think that choosing pineapples was purposeful
Oh, I
to
agree.
tie to
Yeah.
Meteor Garden 2018.
I
Mainly
agree.
because the market itself's name.
Yeah. They're not ignorant of this. Like they know what a pineapple means to Hana Yori Dango fans.
We're like, well, a bucket full of Tom.
Yeah. It's a basket full of Tom. Like it's so purposeful. The symbolism, it's so interesting.
She can't hold her basket. It's not.
Yeah. So it's her again. She's trying, like that basket is representative of her. She's trying to come into contact with that feminine power again. She's trying to like reclaim it and understand it better and all of that.
It's also ties to like ancient wisdom stuff that we were talking about with the Dark Mother confrontation.
Yep.
Like if you like sometimes weaving or singing or healing is reconnecting with the ancient wisdom of the past.
Exactly. And we know that she's doing that through her harvesting and through her hard work. She is reconnecting with the ancient wisdom of the past because she's doing everything by hand. She explains that to Ren later, like this isn't a farm stay, like we don't have technology to help us, we don't have hands to help us, like we're just doing this is all manual labor, and therefore you have to know where to find the right fruit, and you have to know how to pick the right fruit, and to understand how to traverse the waterways. Like all of this is ancient wisdom. So yeah, very cool, very purposeful. And also I wanted to point out that Tom clearly because there was a lot of theories going on throughout the week, which I love all of them. I liked and shared all of them and was a part of the discussion. It's really fun. But there's a lot of talk about the fact that like Tom had a plan, and Tom didn't, maybe he wasn't regressing as much as it seemed like he was. Like maybe
I always thought that he would deny going with Ren because that's like an important thing,
right? And there's some ideas like maybe even if he did deny it, he still had a plan, like in the working, like in the making. I mean, I feel like it's important for his character to regress to this point again, because that's where he was on his journey, and I think that's a really incredibly important, especially with the messaging that pulls him out. Wouldn't have been as impactful
if he hadn't been as far down as he was. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, that doesn't mean that he didn't know what to do. That's very fairy tale, right? Like that's like now that you have sort of been healed or brought back, you know what to do.
Yeah.
We'll talk about like parallels till the cows come home, but the biggest one for me is Princess Bride.
Yeah.
So he's literally dead, and he's brought back to life by like the healer guy.
Right.
And then they show up at the castle. He can't even walk. And he's like, well, we could get in there if we had a Holocaust cloak and a wheelbarrow and blah, blah, blah. Like he has the plan in him. He just needs to have the will to enact it. It just
exactly.
Was he secretly working on confronting his mother this whole time? He thought about it, but he didn't.
Exactly. And that's, MJ says it later. He's like, we know that you know how to overcome your mom. We know, because they trust him and they understand that he is smart and powerful. But yeah, I wanted to say that he's probably like stewed with this memory. Like we saw that with the previous episode where he's like in the
bathroom.
This memory is stewed in him this whole time for almost a year, that if Gorya gave up on him for money, then the world must just all be about money and power.
Yeah.
So
it's
that
like one of those sad realizations. You're like, the only way that people will value anything about things is if they spend money on it.
Exactly.
Right.
And if Gorya of all people did that, then nothing really matters. And even when he's faced with the idea that Gorya didn't accept the money, he was like, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, she rejected me.
Yeah.
She dumped me. Like, it doesn't matter. So he's, again, I just wanted to point it out because this has been pushing him down for so long that it's going to take a bit for him to get out of it.
Yeah.
I like that.
No, it's great. And then he's like, what do you want? I want you two to be happy. Yeah. And it's important, although I don't know if we may still get like a Ren like standing in the way of Gorya like moment in the future. We kind of got that here.
I think it's been resolved. I feel like it's been resolved.
Yeah, he's like, if you choose the wrong path, I won't step aside again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So
that was sort of like what I was expecting.
Yes, exactly. I was very happy with this.
We didn't get the bus, but we kind of got the bus.
The bus
but yet
is the bridge.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. It's just, but we also like, I wanted this and we didn't really get it, but we kind of got it. Like,
I gotcha.
It's interesting.
Yeah, totally. Again, the way that they kind of shove things together and modify it is super interesting. But yeah, efficient storytelling. And then Tom kind of bites back at him and is like, if you care about her so much, like, you know, why don't you go after her? And I love that Ren punches him in the face because it's really hot, and Tom
you had a slide for this.
Yeah, sorry.
I was ahead.
And that's what he says. Remember what I told you. If you go down this path, I'm, you know, gonna stand in. I'm not gonna step aside anymore. Yeah. And then he throws the papers on the table and is like, don't do something you'll regret. Like, that's like his last, like, I just love it. I love the way he throws the papers on the table. Like, dude, you're killing it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then we get him like sneaking out, right? He leaves and we get sneaking by the door, like, or nearby. We have Rosalyn, which you don't have a shot of, but like, she's like, oh, is he leaving with you? Do I need to?
Nope. She's like watching. She's like, okay, everything's fine.
No, that enters doubt into her mind.
You think so? I didn't read doubt.
Because of how she reacts later.
Interesting. All right, we'll talk about that when we get to it. Interesting. Yeah, so then we go back to Gorya and the fact that there is now an angry mob around her home that is asking for payment, and it's 200,000 baht, which is almost $6,000 US, just for some like context. It's a lot of money, and she says, I don't even know if we could pay that back in this lifetime. That's how much money it is. And one of the guys and the mob says, like, because they're talking about the fact that she has a rich boyfriend.
Yeah, who told them that?
The dad. I think it was the dad. I think it was Gorya's dad.
Like, traditionally it's the mom in the story.
He just looks so much more guilty whenever they say it. He's like, oops.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, we'll get in there. And she remembers the necklace. We see the necklace in the house, like on a table. And she's like, no.
It's so epic that she's like, oh no, I have to protect this. Like this thing which she's been holding on to that she will not pawn off. Like, they talked about pawning off her uniforms, but she is like, I'm not going to get rid of this necklace. Like, even though it probably could feed her family for like months, you know? But she's like, no, I'm going to save this. You can't have this.
Yeah. It's like probably pretty expensive, because some of the jewelry that Tom has previously bought her has been like over 1 million baht. And so
yeah, it's definitely up there. It probably will pay the debt.
Yeah, it would pay off the debt. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah,
but she tries to protect it, and then we go to the question of like the whole fake out thing of, you know, where's Tom? Tom's not at the meeting.
I call this the red herring edit.
Yeah, this is definitely a red herring.
But she does question that he's not there
So you know
on
what
time.
okay, so this is what I think. I think that she's worried for his safety, not that he is wavering.
Oh, I don't get that because she brought her purse.
No, I think women bring their purses along for a lot of things. I think that she honestly thought that she was worried about him because she seemed concerned. This is, to me, this is all about the fact that she knew that she thought somebody was going to try to hurt him because of the company.
We don't see the Si-chan conflict until later in the episode.
Yeah, but it's already clear to her that there is
No, I think she thought he was going to leave.
I totally disagree. I think to me, this was showing us that she cares about Tom's safety. She's worried about Tom's safety. And that's why she was like, where is he? But I think in the context of the scene,
I mean, we have to use it in the context of the scene. We have we will find that out later.
But it does mean something later at the end of this episode.
But it means something later at the end, but not in the moment that Si-chan attacks. Like it means nothing to her.
I disagree.
Like the first time he does. It means nothing.
I think that no. I think even when Si-chan attacks Tom, she's like terrified for him. You could see it on her face. So therefore, I think she's terrified that something bad's going to happen to Tom because she knows, because she's in this business, that there are people that want to hurt them. That's where I'm at. Well, we can leave it at that, but I just think that I think she's really worried. It's
not how it's used in the moment.
I think she's worried about his safety right now because of the decisions that were made in the previous episode and the fact that she already knows that people want to do him or her harm. I think this is new. This is like a new concern from the previous episode. Yeah. This is not I don't think Rosalyn always had this concern for him. I think this is new because of the position of power that he has now.
I think she's also worried he left with Ren.
I don't. I think she's totally 100% confident that he would not have left. But let us know what you think in the comments. Team Thai, team
it doesn't matter. He didn't show up for a meeting and she checked on him.
Yeah, and he was there in his office. All right. So Ren, we get the reveal that Ren is the one who showed up, which I wanted to call out the whose car is that stuff, which was funny.
Oh. Just one sec before we get there, the people actually almost get into the house and then he shows up and they come back.
Yeah.
But above the door, because the farmhouse is actually green, above the door and above kind of where all the windows are inside of the house are these red stars throughout the greenhouse.
It's so bizarre.
They're red stars and flowers. It's such a weird choice that I was like, show.
Come on. Come on.
Yeah.
That's so clearly
on the
explicit.
nose.
Yeah. I love it. I didn't notice them. I didn't notice them at all. But yeah, the car is interesting because typically we know that's Gawin's car and we dug back into it during the week. They told us whose cars were whose, and a tweet that came out right before the show or right as the show came out, I can't remember. And that Tom has 3 cars and Ren has 2 cars and Gawin has 2 cars and MJ has a car and a bike, and one of Gawin's cars is silver, which is one he's typically in with Haning, but then his other one's green, and that's the car that Ren takes to Gorya, which again contributes to the fake out of who's in the car, because it's not Gawin but it's Gawin's car. Which I just loved. And also he shows up in all white, or at least not at least the top is white, so he's the white knight essentially.
Yeah.
And he also calls himself her boyfriend. He's like, yes, I am her boyfriend.
Yes. And here's all this money.
Yep.
Which I keep in my car. So why is he in Gawin's car? Other than the obvious symbolism of him going to Gorya and wanting to be a friendly green person to do that.
I mean, I don't know, he's, because it's a disguise of sorts, right? I mean, because
Yes,
typically,
but
okay,
also he was probably coordinating with Gowan and MJ
right,
before to kidnap Tom
right,
sometime in the next day.
yeah,
And he's like, ah, shoot, I don't have my car with me. And Gowan's like, take my car. Like, that's the most logical thing, because they obviously were together and coordinating.
yeah. There's a plan going on. Yeah, which I do want to say the plan, right? The people thought like Tom was the one that had the plan,
Yeah,
but it was F3.
obviously. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was like, I was right. I was like, what if F3 kidnaps him? I'm so happy.
yeah. I felt, but that's like in the manga and stuff. Like that's
Well,
at
they
least
are
that's
there, but typically it's like the Lita character that initiates it.
right. That's true. Yeah,
She's usually there
but
and
they're
they go along with it.
right. There's usually that fake out
They're not
kidnapping
really
thing.
ever willing to kidnap Tom again after that one time.
Hmm. Yeah, but this, yeah, this whole thing is this is all F3's doing. This is all their
Yeah.
plan, which again just it just shows the fact that they like this is Goya's effect on everyone. Um but yeah, the moment here between them two is that she says that she's chosen to be an adult now and she's not going back.
Uh, but first, like he says, like, let me be selfish and take care of you in a
Right.
way. And he takes the piece of fluff out of her hair exactly the
Exactly
way
like
that
Tom.
Tom
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Yeah. As soon as
Yeah.
he
So
did that, I was like, oh great, we're gonna get a bunch of these moments, aren't we?
and we did. We got a bunch of these moments to
Yeah.
nail the coffin shut on Ren. Unfortunately, that
Hmm.
he is perfect for Goya and would
Mm.
be exactly what Goya, which is something I've always said, if Goya wanted him, he would be exactly what Goya wanted him to be. But
Hmm.
he is not Tom. Only Tom is Tom.
Yeah.
And that's the point.
That's what she has to realize in
Yeah.
this whole thing.
She's like, I'm going to stop being a child.
She's like, I've chosen to be an adult. And he's like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
When his stomach growls and he's like, will you like feed me yummy food? He bats his eyes at her. He like does this cute little wink
Pout.
wink.
Yeah.
And he kind of like, I was like, well, won't you feed me? Won't
Yeah.
you
Like,
keep
take me
me?
home with you.
Exactly.
Let me stay
Exactly.
here. I want to stay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So she does. She.
There's
Mhm.
there's a big difference between her saying like I want to stop being a child
Mhm.
and like it her it's really important how you choose to live as an adult. I think that's like something that's unsaid in this line. Like,
Yeah, but they say
yeah.
it later with the.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all. Yeah, it's all there. Um, but Ren doesn't question her because that's not what he's there to do.
No.
So she does. She takes him in. She feeds him. He asks to stay with her, and she reluctantly agrees.
She's like, stay as long as you like. He's like, then I won't go back then.
Yep. I will not go
And we
back.
get the weird commercial for the ramen.
Yeah, that's why I didn't include it
Carbonara
because it felt,
ramen.
yeah, with bacon.
Oh, it's a big treat.
Yep. So, but there's a cute shot though. I didn't get that of Ren eating the ramen, and she's just kind of like looking at him like you're just very strange right now, and he's like, "Yep." But then we go to the protesters, and they say like these are basically the people from the Sichin Corporation, and they're from all over the world. They're there to, they want their jobs back and whatnot. And the guy gets down on his knees and like begs Tom for
Mm-hmm.
compensation for him and for his employees because his entire company now has gone under. And I wanted to call out that Tom is wearing a T necklace, but it's not the same one as before, and it doesn't have like the ring on it.
No.
So we've talked about before how the ring and T symbol and how that symbolizes like Tom's power and his like that eternal life, that ultimate power that he has when he had his apotheosis moment and his death and his rebirth and the with the Hale stuff. But now he doesn't have a part of that. Like it's like he's missing, like the key is broken in half, so he doesn't have the full key to unlock his full power.
Mm-hmm.
But this man is, you know, accosting him, and his mom is like, get this guy out of here. How did he even get here? But I think, like I said before, I think she's seriously concerned. I think she was scared in this moment that this guy was going to do him harm. And that's all a part of the...
I think she's too delusional at this point. Like she's still stuck in her own...
read concern on her face? How do you not read concern on her face?
I see her being unfeeling. If she was genuinely concerned.
Are you freaking kidding me? Like,
I don't see concern. I see disgust with Si-Chen and with how Tom reacted to it. Yeah, if there is concern, it's concern about that Tom is going to go down a like path of like caring about others.
I completely disagree with you. I think she's absolutely concerned for his well-being. She is a walking, talking contradiction. They get up to the 15th floor, which is funny enough. It's the 15th episode, right?
Yeah.
And Rosalyn has this whole thing about...
I didn't see her be concerned until
I know
he
that
was
you
actually
didn't.
stabbed.
Fine, but we'll move on because I cannot believe you right now. So she has this whole thing
maybe
about...
I didn't watch it as many times as you. So
she has this whole thing about, she says like relationships and business are not the same, right? She says a friend is not going to help you when this company is in trouble. Like when this company's in trouble, like no friend is going to help you. Relationships don't help you. In the end, people turn their backs. She is literally a walking, talking contradiction because she was trying to marry him off. Like relationships are important. She's got some intense cognitive dissonance going on right now. She also is discounting the fact that Tom has many allies because she says, who is your one friend who's going to help you?
Well, yeah. Like she says, like, don't pay attention to people who don't matter. Like, do you think any friends could help you or would help you? Right. Like, absolutely. And I see that. And I'm not questioning that deep inside of her, she has concern for Tom's well-being, right? Like I'm not questioning any of that. It's just like it takes him actually getting stabbed for her to like realize it. I think that's what I'm trying to say. It's
I think the seeds were planted in the beginning of the episode. It's not explicit. I think it's there. I think it's foreshadowing. And I think even in the business meeting, there's something that he says to her. And it's very, I think it's all leading up to her being, I saw this coming and I caused it. I'm the one who did this, right? Everything that happens leading up to the stabbing is caused by her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. But I think that therefore they're sowing the seeds of her concern for him and for his well-being in the beginning of this episode. But it's fine if you don't see it. But she says about the relationship stuff, like, you know, she is like, everyone's going to stab your back at the end of the day. Even your friends, like you can't trust anyone. You're going to get hurt if you trust people. This is all just kind of like doubling down on the monstrous side of him. And that's it on that one. But so Househusband Ren, so Gorya comes downstairs wearing the coolest shirt ever, which did you look up this one? Did you try to find it?
I did not. I felt like it was made for the show because of you are my Shensai, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's
referencing
Meteor Garden.
Yeah, it's way too on the nose. I actually tried to look it up, or at least I tried to reverse image search it. That's like all I know how to do, and I could not find it. I think this is totally made for the show. If you have any other information on it, let me know, because I kind of want it.
Yeah, and it looks like it's a sunshine,
Yep.
right?
Which is starlight, right?
It's starlight. Like, okay, she's a star bride in
Yeah.
hiding.
In hiding.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. And it's gray, I think. It's a gray shirt.
It could be
greenish
gray. Yeah. Everything that he is doing is stuff that Tom has done.
Yep.
And he's even like holding like the tie-dye shirt of his brother, like her brother, that's blue instead of the pink, because blue is his color.
Yeah, like the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire shirt.
Yeah, it's a blue version of that shirt, but
is.
It says something different, but it's like similar look, and we can't really see what it says. But
Yep.
the show is like that. They'll do stuff like that to say, like, look, I can do anything Tom can do better. It's like this is, wouldn't it be easy? He let her sleep in. Wouldn't it be easy just to like let Ren into her life?
Yeah. And he does everything that Tom does better, because he actually can cook and he can do laundry.
Yeah, and like he's willing to go into the dirt. He doesn't complain.
Yeah.
He is also like related to water, and so anything to do with the canals and rivers is easy for him. He's also able to sell all of the fruit so that they make more money. Basically, like, it's showing just like how Tom and MJ and Gowan, they all have this kind of golden touch because they're all these like godlike figures on Earth.
Yeah.
Everything is blessed by having them around.
Totally. Yep. That for the demigods. He does offer her like this challenge. He says, if I can do the work today, then you have to do what I want you to do.
Exactly. And I also think that because he's like water, he grows her easier than Tom does.
Yeah, that's a good thing to point out that we haven't actually thought of before. Yeah, Ren is this really weird like demigod, water god type of thing. I do love the fact that he gets in the water. I was really happy about that, because
yeah, it made me so happy.
Yeah, it was really cool. And also how the parents like shipped them. They start to ship them together. They're talking about, oh, they would make a really cute couple, all of that, just to show us again like how much he fits into the world, or he's trying, at least he's blending in. Which brings us to the shirt that he's wearing in that next scene. So he gets the tan shirt wet.
Yeah.
And then they like go to sell the fruit that they harvested. And Ren's shirt is now a different shirt. It's like greenish on the bottom, and then it fades to white, and then it fades to blue.
Yeah.
So it looks like he's trying to blend in with the atmosphere or the scenery.
Yeah, and you get a better shot of it when they're by the sea.
Yep.
Like in the next shot, but it looks like he's got dirt on his arms, like up his sleeves, and then up the back it looks like this dirt almost goes up into like grass.
Yeah, it does. It looks like dirt and then grass.
And then grass.
Like, the sky.
And then the sky. Like it's like he's wearing like his dream of them together.
Yeah. Because it's
so
yeah.
Interesting. And when they said Halle, let's go on a Halle date, like basically like let's go to the sea, I was like, Halle. So I could hear it, and I was like, oh hey.
You're like, I know that name, I know that word. Yeah. And there's a cute moment where she's like, you're just cheating because you used your attractiveness, and he said he was sorry, and then Glockow was like, saying that makes him even more attractive.
Yeah.
Just the power that he has over everyone. And he's like, because I won, you told me I could get something, let's go on a date. And so he takes them to the sea.
So I think her shirt says it's
Mhm.
green, and I think it says stop period weekends, but in like backwards writing.
Yeah, I could only pick up on the like upside down backwards
Weekends.
weekend. I couldn't see the other one, but
Yeah.
I think
I
that makes
think it says
sense.
stop, but like
Mm,
it's like weekend stop. Like
that would make sense.
it's weird. And like
Hmm.
because she herself is saying like I'm not allowed to have fun in this scene, like I'm not
Yeah.
allowed to relax, I'm an adult here. And this is a mistake that so many adults make, and they get caught up in this idea that you can no longer play and you can no longer enjoy kid like things. Like they take that Bible verse so seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I
Yeah.
was a child, I thought as a child, when I became an adult, to put away childish things. Like they're like, that's how my life is supposed to be. But when really, like, the longer you play, the more you'll have a life.
Yeah. Yeah, I basically wrote down something like super similar to that too. Like the fact that yeah, learning how to be and learning how to play, like playing is part of being because play is essentially mindless.
Mhm.
Like playing is not, you can be mindful when you're playing, but you're mindful towards your own needs and your wants. You're not like thinking about working, you're not thinking about other people, and this is about the process of being and the state of being that like Murdoch talks a lot about.
Mhm.
Just being mindful of being is really important. um and Ren takes this moment to remind her of who she really is, and he's like, you know, what about the Gorya that's loud and is always getting into trouble? And then he pushes her sort of in the water and he's like, the Gorya that's always getting wet.
Yeah. Well, and this is so interesting because like we've talked about Clarissa Pinkola essays and like the woman who runs with wolves and like the wild woman archetype to do with Goya.
Right.
But like she literally says like to be rejuvenated, you have to go back to where it's moist.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like watering her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the canals were already like a big symbol for all of this.
But
And
he's
now,
forcing her actually back in the water because she was
yep,
avoiding the water, even though she was in this moist and lush place. She
yep,
wasn't getting as low as she could go,
yeah, yep.
which
Like,
is
let me
she
water you,
needed to be,
Gorya.
yeah, she needs to be watered. Like that's part of the symbolism we've seen. She gets wet. She
Yep.
keeps on getting wet.
It's so great. It's so great. And so they play in the water.
Oh yeah, you can
I
see the kind
didn't
of grass on the back in the shot on the
Yeah, and he literally like fades into the scenery here. Like it's
yeah.
lined up with kind of the water and the sky and all of that. So it's really really cool shot right here. They do, I kind of skipped the images of them playing in the water because we had kind
Mhm.
of saw them before. But basically Glaucao has a conversation with Ren. He tells him like she's not going to school, she doesn't have any friends. He's like, I don't want her to get stuck here. Like,
Yeah.
he knows her well, he cares about her, and he's like, I don't want her to stay here.
Like she's
Um
not thriving. Like she's
yeah,
surviving. She's not thriving.
yeah.
And also the troubles that she had have followed her here. Like she has the same
Yeah.
problems, just they're not dealing with stars and celestials and gods and like these high up people.
Yeah, and Rin does make a point to say something about that too. He says that, no matter what class you're of or whatever, like problems are always going to find you. Like you're always going to
Mhm.
have conflict in your life. I thought that was a curious line. So then we go to Tom and his mom, Rosalyn, and Tia, his sister, and they're basically fighting for Tom's like
Yeah, I mean, like,
yeah.
yeah, like they're standing on either side of them, and one is in black and one is in like lighter colors.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious
Yeah.
symbolism right there.
And they do. They're the scene went on a little bit too long for me personally, because I guess because I was annoyed by Tia saying time. It was so weird. But I think she outlines, or like Rosalyn outlines, the project, and like he's like, wait, you said that this was going to be put on hold. Was that a lie? And she was like, of course it was a lie. And she tries to also tell, because Tia's also fighting for Tom, and she says he's way more ruthless than you think he is. He's not going to rule this company the way you want him to rule it. Like, don't, like, just accept it already, basically.
Mm-hmm. I trained you myself.
Yeah. At one point, Rosalyn puts her hand on Tom's shoulder. Yeah. And she's like, oh, yes, you'll do exactly as I say, sort of thing. So that was good.
And then gives him the contract and is like, the decision is his. Like, you've just had the angel and devil arguing in front of you. Now you decide, right?
Yep. So she puts it in front of him. She's like, we'll just leave this with Tom, and then you can decide, and we'll just walk away now. Yeah, it's interesting.
Do we see the signature in that moment, or is that later when we see the signature?
I think it's after. So Gorya sees the drawing, and then she gets the call from Ren to come meet her on the bridge. And then we see Tom leave his office.
Yeah.
And he's got I think they show the signature on the table.
Like briefly before he leaves or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it says his name, and Akira, actually, he writes his A as a star, like a 5-point star.
Yeah. I forgot. We talked about that
on Twitter.
Yeah, we talked about it on Twitter. Yeah.
But like, it's like they wouldn't do that unless they were trying to make that parallel. Like, obviously. I mean, the star symbolism is everywhere in this show. So it's like they had the top, like they just decided, like, what could we do for Akira? And they made it into a 5-point star. It's so like, what?
Yeah. I think it's really purposeful. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yep, he puts a star signature on it.
We go back to Gorya, and she's like, sees herself in his book, which has meaning to her.
Yeah. And this, because that's Ren, and we already know, like, Ren also draws the things that I totally forgot about the Ren thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, the earlier, whenever he was like in the morning, like when he was doing all the chores for them and everything, they do show his sketchbook at that point as well, and it shows that he drew like a bird,
right?
And someone on Twitter said that it was a wren, like WREN.
Oh,
which has like a lot of symbolism. But I forgot what it was. So y'all just remind me in the comments. I forgot what it was, but it worked with his character and what was going on, obviously, at that time. And now we have this picture that he's drawing of Gorya, which is him thinking about his future, essentially, or what it could be. Right.
Yeah, potential, and also like capturing her, which means he truly sees her too.
Yeah.
Like he saw Mira.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then we go to Tom, who's like, I just want to be left alone. And it's so funny because it's like, he says it again, like he says he wants to be left alone to the guards, and they leave him alone. He goes into this room by himself, but then he says it again, like, I just said I wanted to be left alone, and they kidnap him, and we know these are actually his friends. So it's funny because it's like they're saying, like, no, you being alone has made you back into this monster. Like,
it's also kind of probably what he said to them probably 1,000 times before this point that we never got to see, when they tried to contact him, and they were like, he was like, I want to be alone, leave me alone.
Exactly.
And they're like, no, rescue from without.
Exactly. Rescue from without. Nope, you're coming with us. We're going to teach you a lesson. We're going to get you through that next threshold on your journey. So great.
So shout out to Boys Over Flowers Korean version.
Yeah, there's another Easter egg for previous HYD adaptions.
Jun Pyeon.
Yeah, so I think his name is like Jun Pyo.
Jun Pyo. They added it,
but they added it. Yeah.
Like generally they use bridge symbolism to say that they're bridging two opposing views, or they're trying to find a center ground, like in the zoo and the bridge where he was drawing the green bridge with the meteor. And like,
Right.
it typically, I think, means between Tom and her.
Yeah. But in the conversation, he says that he wants to buy the market.
Mm-hmm.
So that is going to be, if she chose him in this moment, that archway with that market and all that would be representative of him.
Yeah.
So like he wants to buy the market, and that archway with the stars is like, marry me, and this will be me and not him, because he wants to take the place of Tom in her life.
Yeah, and the bridge itself is green and blue. Like it is his bridge.
It's his bridge, yeah.
It's his bridge, but he's like, it's currently like in ownership of Tom. I know that, but
oh, so good. So
the
good.
Lights too, like it looks.
I love that shot where they kind of show it from the side and they have like the lights. Yeah, it's really cool. But he's like, don't analyze this, like just answer me yes or no. And he tells her his whole plan. He's like, I want to buy this plot of land over here. I want to build a clinic. It would be good for people. He's speaking to her sense of caring for people, like, which is kind of interesting, because like if you say no, there's no clinic.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're actually both leaning against one of the railings, and she's on the opposite side of him from when Tom and her were leaning on the railings and talking about his plans for the future for them.
Yeah.
Like it's mirrored again, like another parallel, in addition to like the chores and the picking the thing out of the hair. And like this is another parallel. Like I could replace Tom.
Yeah, it totally makes sense too, because there's also a line where he's like, the line where Tom says, or no, Gorya says, have you thought about our future? Have you thought about the future?
Yeah.
And he says, of course I have. And I think something very similar happens here too, because I thought about it on my first watch. Yeah.
It's purposefully paralleling Tom's conversation about his future plans. Yep. And I love how like he has a whole plan on how to sort of make her happy there.
Yeah.
She never wanted to go back to the stars.
Yep. I'll stay in your world, Gorya. We'll make a life in your world.
Yeah.
And I love okay, shout out to Du's acting, because holy heck, his little expressions are incredible.
Yeah.
He's like, he really, truly, truly, you can see it in his eyes. This is not a manipulation. This is not, he's not trying to, like, he's appealing to her sense of caring for people, but he's not using that as a manipulation. He's genuinely like, we could build a life together. I can make you happy.
I can't be any more clear. Like, I want to marry you. He is offering to marry her. Like, this is a proposal. Yeah, it really is a proposal. So this makes me think we might actually get a genuine proposal by the end.
Yeah.
Like from Tom. Like, I think that's where we're headed.
We have to.
I think because this is, I mean, he's offering basically to build a family, which is a proposal.
Yeah, they talk about it all.
Yeah, and I love how like it hurts her. Because she's just like I see how easy this would be to be with you.
Yeah.
But Tom is tough.
Yeah. And Ren sees it right away. He sees that in her reaction. And I love, he kind of like nods a little bit. Well, as she's kind of talking, she's talking about, that sounds amazing. Everything sounds perfect. You would have an amazing view if you build a house there. You would get a dog. Like, it sounds like a dream.
And by existing in this community, the whole community would benefit.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's also like what these guys do, like by building a clinic, by helping the orchard, by buying that lot of land that's empty
Yeah.
right now. Like the whole community would instantly flourish because there would be a clinic and more people would come and there would
Mm.
be more businesses. And like that's what the power of these stars is.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Yep.
she's the only one who can grow them to aspire to help others.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he knows, like, as she's saying all this, like, this would be amazing, this would be great. He can see and sense that she is going to reject him. Um, Again, shout out to Do, because holy moly, it's just,
Yeah.
it's perfect. And she says that she's not going to be a part of that dream. Like, I'm not going to be a part of it. And
You know deep down that Tom is your home.
this was like,
This hurt.
this, I cried, like, I bawled my eyes out, but like, you'll never get over him, you know that, because you know he's your home. As far away as you've come, as far as you've traveled to get away from him, you know that that's where you belong, because you were just rejected me and everything that I could give you, and staying here. You don't belong here, you belong with him. Like, Ren is amazing. He's such a great character.
Yeah, and Do is just like killing this so much. Like he's so good.
And she says, I'm the biggest idiot in the world. And then Ren laughs at her because
he's seen the video.
Has seen the video. Yep. Because he knows Tom said it too. And he's like, you guys are just made for each other. Like, this is so perfect. So he gives her the video. And then we get that cute little shot where they get in the frame and they're like posing in front of him because they're hilarious. And then we go to Tom, and this is kind of the part where I was like, well, if he has a plan, or if he ever had a plan, right? If he ever had anything happening in the background, this is where it's going to come out.
Yeah, and he'll say, guys, I've had a plan. And they're like, cool. But no, he didn't have a plan. Well, he knows what to do. That's different. Like,
right.
That's more fairy tale than I've had a plan this whole time and I'm just waiting to, like, that's more realistic, but this isn't realism. We've talked about this.
No, he makes up, the plan is drafted overnight. Like, that's the plan. He drafts it in one night after this intervention. So do you like how both MJ and Gowan are in decision clothes? Yeah, the black and white. Yeah.
Yeah.
So true.
They're like, we've worn our decision clothing, so you will make a decision to do the right thing. And then we get a shot of his like red rope that's binding his wrists.
Yes. Yeah, the red string of fate. It's like the same rope that Gorya was tied with. Yeah. During the LA stuff. Yeah.
It's just incredibly smart storytelling, because a lot of this is like in other versions, this sort of realization is like, she shows up, he rejects her in person, and then he goes after her. And then, but what they've done with like technology, as well as just choosing to have everybody in the same room all at the same time, is just like, oh, now everybody's on the same page. And they've done that multiple times through the show.
Yeah.
And yes, this is the bus scene. You are correct.
Yeah, it's the bus scene. I would like, as soon as Ren said, like, meet me on this bridge, I was like, oh, it's the bus scene, because that's thematically and narratively, like, it's serving the same purpose. It's giving her a choice, and the bridge, we know bridges mean choices, and so it's definitely that.
Well, and what he does is entirely for Gorya, and it doesn't need Tom in front of him to do it. It's similar to how we talked about how Lita and revealing herself was entirely for Tom, and Gorya didn't need to be there for that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So that part of the conversation could happen away from them, from Tom, and Tom's part of the conversation where he believed in himself again and believed in all of the things that he had learned this whole time, i.e. being rescued. Didn't need Gorya there, but they need to witness or know that everybody is on the same page just for the efficiency of storytelling. And so they did it brilliantly.
Right. Yeah, they did. Yeah, I love this. I mean, I was yearning for them to be in the same space, but
I know.
this served so many purposes. It did a lot of things it needed to do. Especially for the fact that by keeping them away from each other is just going to make the impact of them finally being together so much more special, and especially with the angst of amnesia and all that, that's going to be
I agree with you. And the amnesia plot is like okay. F4, you've redeemed every plot I haven't liked.
Yeah.
So
it's gonna, I mean,
yeah, I have faith. You won me over. You had me at Hana. Yeah. I guess. Like,
yeah, ever since we figured out like amnesia is probably definitely gonna happen, like after that, the Thai speaker read the lips of Gorya and was like, oh, she's saying like, why don't you remember? Ever since that, I've been thinking in my head, like, wait, so what is the purpose of it? Like, what does it serve? And like, what is the meaning of it in the story? And I've kind of changed my mind about it, because at first I didn't like it. So, but now I'm understanding it more in terms of like exactly what it does for the story, what it does for Gorya or the female lead in other versions. So I'm seeing.
We talked about how the theme song is literally "Who Am I," and it makes sense, amnesia, because like, who am I?
Exactly.
But also, like, who am I and who am I becoming? Yeah,
it's brilliant. Yeah, what it does for Tom now, that particular part too. Yeah, so it's awesome.
I love how they're like, we don't want to be the kind of adult that you.
Yep. Because he says
like,
he's like, he's calling them out for not acting like adults, and they say they would not be your kind of adult. And we talked about this a little bit earlier about how adults are told that they have to give up childish things, which are typically play, and it's also, you know, childish love. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
it's part of that mutilating behavior.
Right.
That to be an adult means you cannot care. You can't love. You have to be willing to do violence at any point.
Yeah, exactly. But they're there to tell him that the ultimate power is love. And so we get this amazing conversation where MJ, he also says, you know, love is the only thing that will help you become the adult that you need to be.
Yeah. It's the key. It's the elixir.
Yep. This is everything. Like they're kind of like, how did you not learn this? Like, how have you not learned this when we have, you know, but they also
we have by being witness to your journey. It was like we had the Cliff's Notes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
But they also, and they are acknowledging that he's on his own journey, and they're acknowledging the fact that he's under this kind of spell with the Wicked Witch character, which is Rosalyn. Like they're acknowledging that he is different, and I just love it. I love it so much. Tom says before this, he says, love has no place in this game.
Yeah.
Again, he's on that chessboard type of thing, which the chess pieces on his desk, come to think of it, and the, you know, when they showed his desk, we definitely got a good glimpse of it in the last episode, with it had like the 2 kings and the queen or something like that. They could have just been symbolic of the fact that he's playing the game on his mom's terms and playing the game with his mom.
Yeah.
Where some people took it as Tom's playing the game against his mom.
Yeah.
But he clearly wasn't. But MJ's like, because now Tom's like seeing love in the concept, in the context of the game. He's like, love doesn't fit on the chessboard. And MJ's like, you know, that's not, or Gawain is the one who responds and is like, love gives you heart. and this
And
is
it
a
helps
different
you-
game. This
It
is
helps you
different.
survive. Yeah.
Yeah,
And we
Mhm.
talked about how they were going to change the game,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? To a team sport. We said that. We were like, it's going to be a team sport. It's going to be like basketball
Yeah.
where
And this
they
is
can
kind of
support each
them.
other.
Yeah, because this is kind of them
Yeah.
playing basketball, right? They're like tossing the ball to Tom, and they're giving him the pass and helping him to like shoot, right?
Exactly.
Like a business with heart will help you survive, and it's better for everyone. Like it's going to help everyone survive if you believe that love is more powerful. And that's
What are they talking about with love?
ooh, interesting question.
Right? Because it's the love that they have for him, obviously, but they're
Right.
asking him
Right.
to bring love as the elixir to the larger kingdom, society, etc.
Yeah, and to a corporation, which is
Yeah.
not, corporations aren't known for loving,
So
but
it's
mhm,
the principle of compassion,
yeah.
because that brings meaning, happiness, and joy.
Mm,
Because you're fundamentally, you are nothing without being interconnected to the other people that are around you and your society. You can't exist in a world when in as a whole complete person when other people are suffering. It's
yeah.
like teachings from the Dalai Lama.
Hmm.
And love and compassion is what you have for people you don't know.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's love. Are we ready for the bell hooks quote?
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, I knew this was coming. This is all related to
Yeah,
the
so
bell
this
hook
is
stuff.
literally the last paragraph of her book, The Will to
Mm,
Change.
cool.
Healing doesn't happen in isolation. We need to create a culture of healing for men who can love and men who long to love. We need to stand by them with open hearts and open arms. We need them to stand ready. We need to stand ready to hold them, offering a love that can shelter their wounded spirits as they seek to find their way home and exercise the will to change.
Mm.
Where is Tom's home?
Gorya. Right?
Yeah. But what? Like,
Well, and that quote also tells us about the importance of like leaning on people and like
and you can't
being
do it in
there.
isolation. You need the
Yeah.
community
Yeah,
to
being
come
there.
together to
Absolutely.
help. And
Yep.
you need the culture of change. So by Tom, and this is where we talk about this being a fairy tale for Thailand, and
Mhm.
it comes out more in the boardroom scene, but by Tom creating an alternative way to exist, to let people exist, to let other companies exist, to let employees exist.
Right.
He is changing the culture to be one of compassion
Mhm.
rather than violence.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. That's
Compassion
the
being love.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've said this before, but this show is like incredibly anti-patriarchal and therefore
And therefore anti-capitalist.
anti-capitalist. Yep, anti-violence, all of that. Yeah. It's so interesting. Um that's so cool. Do we have any more bell hooks quotes
No, I
or
mean, that was the
just
main one I
the
wanted to
main
say
one?
because of the fact that it's like you have to come together, and men who have figured out how to love and men who haven't like need to
Yeah.
help each other.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not Gorya that's saving him. It's the
Interesting.
men he loves the most.
Yeah. I like this choice so much.
I
So
do too. She's
much.
there. She can witness his transformation back.
Yeah.
And like the damage that she did to him too. That's important.
Mm, yeah,
But
definitely.
it's men who have learned how to love that are helping him love again.
Yep.
I love this show so
It's
much.
so
Ty.
good. It's so good. It's so good. I cried. I don't think I have any tears left today. I cried so much watching this to give myself a headache. But this part this part is a lot. This part is a lot. We don't get this. We don't ever get this in other shows and other media. So MJ says, like, we know you know what to do. We know you know how to fix your mom's policy. You're just afraid. And he's like, you guys don't understand anything. You don't understand, like, that it's risky to trust someone. And they say, well, of course we know that. Like, we also have our own businesses.
Yeah.
And he says something about along the lines of, yeah, but I'm the only one that ever gets hurt. And this is like Tom being like incredibly childish, which is really funny.
Well, and also like he's also the only one who's been hurt by love.
Yeah.
Like recently.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I'm the only one who gets hurt.
Yeah.
But Goen says, you're not the only one that gets hurt. And he shows him the paper, which we don't really know what that means until later.
Yeah.
But it's setting the plan in motion. You know what this means. And basically, because they're there in not only trying to teach him, remind him his lessons about love, they're also there to support him financially, which is great. Really, really, really great.
Put your money where your mouth is, kind of. Like, yeah, okay, we understand that in our current capitalist society, money is the only thing that actually matters. So here is actually us telling you we support you.
Yep. This is awesome. They're really using their power. And then MJ says the reason, like, why we're doing this, like, is because we love you. And that was the most powerful thing. Like, that's how much we love you. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
It just showed like what we've been talking about this whole time. Like, men who can love will also receive love.
Yeah.
Right. And so like he needed to know that other men can love and be loved.
Yeah.
I really like, I know like some people still are mad about F4 being like the centerpieces of this rather than Gorya. Right? She still is the centerpiece.
Yeah.
But like their story is so important, these four.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I mean, again, we called this show F4 Obsessed from the beginning because it was like acknowledging that the exciting factor in any Hana Yori Dango adaptation was the four guys and how they affected the heroine and how the heroine affects them four, because all of them are fundamentally changed by the end of the story in their own way. And this one acknowledges that in a way that none of the others have. Like, it really, really, really makes their change the center, not them the center, but it makes their change the center of the story, which is which Gorya is the catalyst for. So, and
they talk about it.
Yeah,
and like they're like, we have changed. It's like, a little girl named Gorya changed us.
Yeah, it's explicit. It's so explicit. Yeah. They call it out here. They say that, Mira and Lita, like these people, they're already out in the world trying to change the world because of one person. They get to that eventually, but they say, the world that your mom built, we can change that. Like, they're proof of that. Mira and Lita doing what they're doing out there, they're proof of that. And then he says you'll see.
Well, and it's kind of like saying like it's worked on other celestials in a way, like other stars, like other people in the meteor garden. Like Gorya has grown them, and they're not saying it, but they're saying it. They're saying that although they say your mom's plan, it's all subtext to say that Gorya is going to change Tom's mom.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is all like setting us up for
Because they've
that.
talked about it before, like
Mm,
with Gorya challenging Rosalyn and saying you're so much like Tom
mm,
by saying we can change your mom's
right,
plan.
right.
Right, like it's coming.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's all the kind of foreshadowing.
We all owe
Um,
this to a little girl named Gorya.
yes, yes. This is so
Those are fake
cool.
tears. I don't really cry.
Yeah.
But yes.
Really. Really. Um,
No, but I feel it.
yes,
Right?
yes, of
Obviously. Like,
course. Of course. But yeah, so but that's so interesting here because Goya's watching this and we all owe this to her, and this is her discovering in that moment that like she means everything to not only Tom but to all four of them, to
mm-hmm.
and Mira and Lita as well, and potentially, because this is all said and she sees it, to the world.
Yep.
Like she has the power to influence all these people for the better and therefore the world because of the power that they wield. That's
Just
crazy.
just by existing
Yeah, just
and
by
growing.
being,
Like,
right?
and
Yeah.
growing and
Yeah,
growing
and
herself. Like
growing. Mhm.
that's the words of Shooting Star, right?
Right, right.
Watching you grow inspires me to be better and be stronger and grow.
And grow too. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. Uh so yeah, this is really important for her. And there's this great moment where he breaks free of his bonds.
The rope tackle I wrote down. Rope tackle hug.
Rope tackle hug.
Because he
I
like
love
breaks through
it.
and they're like, there's like a little bit of a like, oh no, he's gonna attack us. He's the beast to get. But no, he just needed to cry.
Yeah, he needed to hug them and he needed to be held and he
Yeah.
needed to cry. And it this is just so heartbreaking for me. Like he's like, it's still possible, right? Like after like all this, like this, I can still make this happen. And MJ says, you still think about her, right? And he's
All the
like, all the
time.
time, all the time. And he's just bawling his eyes out. And then Goya's bawling her eyes out. And we're all crying. And I'm crying.
Idiots in love.
Yes. And I love that they tease him here. They say, like, there, stop crying. We thought you were an adult now. Let me see. Like, let me look at those tears. And although they're teasing him here, I did point out this on Twitter too. Like, this is not a message of adults don't cry. Right
No.
here, they're literally holding him and they're
And
allowing him.
rubbing his back. That's something that you
Yeah.
let people cry. They're just trying to be like, you should be happy now that you've realized
But
where you're at.
but they're letting him be himself and like
Yeah.
feel for the first time in a year.
Yeah.
So they're allowing himself to be, and they're allowing him to just really give in to his emotions that he's been holding in for so long, and they're okay with that. And it's okay, it's cherished, it's like, encouraged by them for him to do so. It is beautiful. Like, it's so beautiful. I love this moment. I love this moment. I will cherish it always.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And then the video is ended now, and Rin takes back the phone, and Goya is like losing it. And he points out that irony of, you said you're an idiot, but you're not alone.
Yeah. And you've been thinking about him when he's been thinking about you. And that's like the ultimate angst because they decided to not be together, but they couldn't stop thinking about each other. And like, yeah, confirmation of angst. There we go.
I love it so much. I love
Oh,
it so much.
it was great.
And we get the realization of,
Rosalyn did not have cancer, guys.
yeah. I'm so glad she did it because some people were worrying me there for a minute. Like, oh God.
But like they were sure she had cancer.
There was a couple people that were like pretty.
I was like, no,
Yeah.
I mean, they use his it's gonna come out. Like I had
the
no
Ira
doubt about
thing,
this.
yeah. I didn't have doubt about it either, but like there were some people that were pretty solid about it, or you know thought it could be, but again, like, yeah, this was the ultimate witchy move type of thing, like the C card and all that. And of course, Goya is like, how could I have been so stupid? Like,
Yeah.
of course she did it. Of course she duped me. Like, she's just immediately, she snaps. It's like she was crying about that, all that stuff with the video. And then
Like
she just,
anger.
yep, I'm mad.
Just gotta scream at the world and wake up everybody.
Yep.
And yeah, I love how we get the flashback to when he first saw her.
Yeah. He sees that anger come back, which
Mm-hmm.
we kind of mentioned it a little bit last week, and I'm not going to go into the full myth of it, but we talked about like the myth of Inanna and Ereshkigal, and one of the things that happens on her return from death, the goddess, when she comes out from the underworld, is that she is angry, because she realizes that the reason why she went through all that torment was because someone basically did it to her. So like her and she's coming out from the underworld, all of that power that she gained while she was in the underworld is now going to be used to get revenge on the person who has taken her throne, which in this story it's Rosalyn, but it's also, that's also going to change pretty drastically, which is going to be interesting.
Yeah. It depends on if they follow the manga closely or not.
Yeah, I foresee, because typically in the myth, Inanna is taking that vengeful anger out on a man that takes her throne. Yeah. And it's very important that that's like a man, because it's this masculine versus feminine type of thing. So because Tom loses his memory, I do wonder if some of that vengeful anger is going to be taken out on him, or if that's like just symbolically, it could be very simple. Just,
I mean, she yells at, we haven't seen the scene where she's on top of him yelling at him.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's, yeah. I mean, it could just be that. And that could be enough, because it's a part of her testing her power, and her power to, you know, she
grow the meteor garden. That's her power. So if she can heal him and allow him to continue growing, then she's got her full power.
Right. But she's also learned the masculine power as well.
Yes.
So all of this is all kind of going to be kind of coming together within herself through the next challenge. But yeah, so she is back to her like normal self, and like you said, we get the flashback, and we get the In the Wind playing in the background.
Yeah,
we get Ren Vision.
Yeah, he loves her.
Yes, he loves her. He does, but, and it's precious.
Yeah, she's not going to be with him.
Nope. And she's immediately like, let's go to Bangkok, like let's
time
go
to go
now. Yeah.
And very energetic here. How's the energy there?
I love that so much, because again, like, this is that renewed energy that she's getting.
Yeah,
I love it. It's so
and also purposeful. like when she had like her power before, she would run places. She would go out and save Haning, or run to go save Tom, or like when he was doing his chores and screamed, she would run in there. Like, yeah, this is how she is. She's going to be running places. He also runs places when he's excited to see her too. It's good.
Yes, he does.
Can we talk about the broken watch?
Yes, let's talk about the broken watch. This is cool.
It was dope.
Yeah. I mean, like, there was a lot of talk about this in our group chat, and then on Twitter. I took it to be as like time has stopped, because time has been like an important factor in a lot of this, and the fact that he's about to lose his memories, so time is going to stop, like, for them. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's related to how they've run out of time too, in some ways.
Yeah, I thought that too, because like that's been a big thing. Like we don't have enough time. We're running out of time. Time is up. Like the clock noises and all of that, and now we have this broken watch. It's like,
yeah, it could also mean, like, from a metatextual perspective,
yeah.
this is a timeless story.
Oh, there you go. That's a good positive read on it. It's a happy
Like,
read on it.
I don't think that I'll ever see a scene like Tom, MJ, and Gowan again.
Yeah, I agree.
The bros saying like, we love you, man, and we just like, it's there, all they were missing was the intervention sign.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll never see something like that again. That was
A tale as
so
old
crazy.
as time.
Yep. Well, even with it's accompanied by the red string. I mean,
Yeah,
the red string of fate and all of that. Like this is so fairy tale in terms
timeless
of like the
love.
shot. Yeah, timeless love. There you go.
I'll go with the positive ones. You can be the negative.
Yeah. Time has stopped and he's about to lose his memories. Okay. It's all of that. It's all that.
Yes.
With we've seen all these symbols before, therefore all of it is like meaningful and purposeful in there. So
yes,
layered symbols.
He shows up late to the boardroom.
Yes, he shows up late because he has been up all night writing this plan, and it's hot. It's so hot of him to do that. And he says something here. I think, well, because I think they show the F3 and Gorya outside. They see the protesters. They know they're not going to be able to get in that way, so they decide to go around back. And do you want to talk about their outfits? I assume you do.
I mean, well, Gorya is wearing the outfit that we see her in on the poster.
Yes.
And Gowan is wearing blue and beige, which is
supporting
Ren,
right?
And
right.
Gorya.
Right.
And Ren is wearing blue and beige because he's like, I'm your knight, but now I'm more fully in my colors, being blue. You know,
more himself, almost like he's kind of blooming a little bit. He's becoming more of himself.
Gorya is wearing houndstooth, which is animal skin.
Ah, that's right. We did talk about that before, houndstooth. That's interesting.
Yeah. And then MJ is wearing like a black party shirt because he always wears multiple colors when he's supporting the whole group.
Yeah, definitely. He's excited.
There's something really cool going on with Ren's necklaces and whether they're keys or locks too. Somebody was pointing that out on Twitter.
I always thought
he locks up his emotions sometimes.
Yeah, I always thought definitely that it was like a lock.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that he
sometimes they look open and sometimes they look shut. Which also is like, what is this show?
Yeah, exactly. Good Lord. All right.
There's too much detail to like catch everything.
Oh, it's so much. And before Tom presents his plan, he goes up to Rosalyn and he says, "Let me speak, mother, for the last time."
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, he says for the last time, which just foreshadows that, you know, Rosalyn is gonna like, that's I don't know if that's the last thing that he says to her before it happens, but it might as well have been, because that's like gonna stick with her.
Yeah,
it's just foreshadowing. But yeah, so then he is showing this is a crazy presentation. Didn't you wanted to say some stuff about like the business choices here? Like,
yeah, it's weird.
I mean, it's actually symbolic, right?
Well, yes, but like it's actually more socioeconomic theory and commentary.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what is being said is that there's people out there, i.e. their suppliers
Yep.
and people who they work with, who supply them with all of their things that they need to do to make everything happen. They're suffering. And in the economy of Thailand, at least in the show, we see it is everyone who's working class is suffering. And so what they're saying is, we're going to literally give 50% of our money to these suppliers who are suffering.
Right.
And then our growth will be slower as an economy to start. But in the end, we will be better. And what they're talking about, if this was just governmental intervention, is like pushing money into the lower half of the economy instead of the upper half of the economy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what that does is it actually creates longer sustained economic growth and increases the middle class.
Yeah.
It is it's socialism. Fundamentally, it is not democratic, because you can't be democratic capitalist. Like it doesn't work. But it's not capitalism.
Right. It's not capitalism, because they're not building upon their capital, essentially.
This is not how businesses work.
No, but I think this is interesting in terms of like, the 50% is like pretty basic, but the idea is that they're going to take out some of the money that's been dedicated to like these bigger projects, like the real estate developments that they're doing and all of that. Like that, what happens there, like with any business that grows, like they do these projects, they do these mergers, or they acquire other companies, they acquire assets, they acquire resources. And instead of putting that back into the people that they have already, they use any kind of revenue to put into more projects in the future and more growth, right?
Yep. Or they hang on to it as capital, right? So they just have a giant piggy bank, which they can use to buy other companies.
Exactly.
Or they pay out their shareholders and their executives.
Exactly. And that's what these people are there for, right? They're there to invest so that they can get the money back from being in these positions of power. So they want to see high revenue as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But Tom is saying, okay, like we'll get this if we cut away the weak stuff right now, we do all these big projects, you're going to see a lot of revenue in just a few years, as represented by these red bars. But if we invest in these suppliers, you're going to see more, see more revenue over a longer period of time. As represented by these green bars.
Exactly. And it's saying that, okay, so fundamentally what he's saying is we all sink or swim better together. And like the fact that the growth chart has a black bar, a red bar, and a green bar,
like, come on,
show. The green bar being Gorya, the red bar being Tom, and the black bar being, well, Rosalyn, or the curse.
Right. Yeah. And it's so funny because it's like, Tom said, I want to invest in the people. Like I want to make the company about the people. And this is the easiest way to show that. This is the most straightforward way to show that, is like, if we invest in people, especially this also has to do with the fact that they're in an economic crisis right now. So the suppliers would be hurting. Because prices go down, supply demand kind of stuff is affecting the lower rings, that's the things like the steel plants and the things like the car manufacturing companies, and all of that they have. But
if they invested in upgrading their equipment or in doing things in a cheaper way or reducing the supply chain with these suppliers, the whole economy of Thailand would
Exactly.
improve, not just Paramount Group,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, it totally like, but this is a socialist concept.
Yeah.
It's just not how typical like organizations function.
Right. Let's
Like
take the yeah.
it's just not.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
But
but it would
it's
have direct impact on the people who are protesting outside,
right.
because that would mean that they would reinvest in C-Chan. They would,
Mm-hmm.
those people would have their jobs back, things like that.
Right.
So I think we'll probably see something like with the news, like the protesters and Paramount Group reinvested in C-Chan, and then even though C-Chan's executive stabbed Tom, like we'll see something like that in the news.
Yeah, that's
next episode.
Typically how they do that. Yeah.
So what were the names of the companies that were the rest of the F3?
I didn't get a good like clear
JT Group,
screenshot.
Araya, and then like TJ, I think is the.
Oh, that's funny.
Or
JT?
Minya Lin.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it's something. There's a T.
Oh, you're reading the subtitle. Yeah, there's
the family. Well, that's obviously
JT Group.
There's JT Group.
Them,
yeah.
But and then Ira and Tim.
Yeah, well, that's Gowan's.
Wow, that's a fun one.
It's the family.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that they all have different like these different symbols. I wonder if there's probably going to be some fun analysis of that through the week.
Yeah.
But yeah, that basically he says that this is his big thing, his big reveal, right? He's like, yeah, I know that you guys think that I'm crazy. However,
I'm crazy with friends.
Yep. I'm bringing allies to this game.
Yeah.
And all three of these families are willing to invest this much money, which you said you looked at how much it was like.
Yeah, it's $100 million US.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
We're willing to invest this much if and only if the Parma Group follows Tom's plan of investing the 50% in the suppliers. So, and then
knowing that because they're saving the suppliers, the revenue of Paramount Group and all the suppliers will increase.
Yeah, over a longer period of time. Yeah. And this whole thing is just like we're stronger when we're together. Like we're all stronger. We support each other.
We're playing basketball here.
Yeah. Passing the ball, helping each other out. Yeah.
And it's coming from a place of compassion to help those that are suffering. He's being a righteous king. This is like, it's like not how business works, but it is also like probably the right thing to do in an economic crisis where your suppliers are suffering.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because she was trying to take everything back in-house, basically cutting out the suppliers and building out her own version of suppliers, basically controlling everything.
Right.
That's what she was trying to do.
Right. But
he's like, I don't need to own everything. I can just lead everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, because and actually it's funny because in some cases it is more expensive to try to bring everything in-house.
Yep.
It's
because you make mistakes.
Yeah.
The best example I've seen of that is Disney Infinity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I felt like it was gonna be a Disney thing. I don't know about
Disney Infinity, which is that they created this gaming platform.
Yeah.
And they created the little like characters
that
you would use on the platform themselves, but they made them all themselves. And the construction of those figures like nearly bankrupted a small slice of Disney.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because it was like so much overhead and they had so much inventory and like things like that.
I think that people underestimate how much like business partnerships actually have an effect on the world. And so that's why I think that, you know, like contracting work and, you know, doing subcontracting and doing work for another business, like, you know, people the outsourcing and all of that, that is how the world operates. Yeah.
You and I both know because of reasons.
Yeah.
And like the idea is, so you've got to clean your office.
Mhm.
You could do it yourself and hire a cleaner, or you can hire a cleaning company that has all the tools and knows what to do. And it's like constructing your, like,
And
I'm
knows
going to,
your needs and
knows your needs and knows exactly how to handle that stain. Like, that's the kind of idea.
Yeah. So this kind of fairy tale version of these business practices is Tom saying, like, let's trust in our partnerships, and let's trust that, when we make deals with people, we honor those deals, because if you do that, and if you trust in people as opposed to the business, the corporation, and all of that, trust in the people that you make partnerships with, because we're all just people at the end of the day. Like, it doesn't matter who you work for. We're all people, and we're all trying to work towards a better society. We should be, right?
Yeah.
It's
And this
trusting in
all
people.
this all comes down to living with integrity, which is that you are a whole and complete person who loves others and has compassion for those around you. And you live that not only in your personal relationships, but in your other situations as well.
Absolutely.
Fully and completely, you are integrated and show that integrity.
Yeah. Integrity has been a big part of all this.
Yeah.
And Tom says here that he's learned that by moving forward without looking back, without like seeing the past lessons that he's learned, can be quite a lonely journey. And this is him really, really bringing the elixir to everyone and saying, like, this is what I've learned, and passing that on. And he says, let's take a step backward together. I promise that this step back will be the best move in your life. And I think that at Sasson Sage said in our group chat at the time we were watching this, he said, if you take a step backward, you get a bigger picture.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness gracious.
And it's also like a big lesson that like everybody needs to learn, that like a step backwards doesn't mean that you are failing, right?
Or regressing.
Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just like taking a chance to like resettle yourself and like
absolutely
know where you are. Yeah.
Yep. It's gonna he knows that this business just pushing its way forward is violent. He knows that that's a violent act, and therefore they have to take a step back and look at everything through different eyes. And everyone's
what he's
affected
doing with
by it.
Yeah, and what he's doing with the money is saying that we're all going to grow together instead of acting in violence.
Yeah. It's invest in ourselves and and each other and the vision of a better world.
So it is fairy tale.
It
is, but I love it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not a business minded person. Like, I know about these things, but I think this is great. I think this is awesome.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
And I love that like the boardroom agrees. That's great.
They as soon as it just takes one person, right? It takes one person that says, I want my money in the hands of someone with those eyes. And
there's some gaps in this, like dude need some help with the math. Yeah.
Like, although he seems to have not seen certain things, because he did just write this up in one night. I want that look. Whatever look he has, like that's what I want to invest in, which is brilliant. It just shows, like, again, they're willing to invest in his passion and his hope and his compassion, like you said. And he also rips up the paper that he had signed previously, because it's clearly not going to happen. And then he also gets the call on his phone from, I think it's Goin. I'm not entirely sure, but he gets a message basically that Gorya's there.
Yeah, no, it was Goin, because he checked his phone too to kind of say he's there, and then he sees the message back saying Gorya's here.
Yeah, and he says that Goin tells everyone that he did it. which is funny because we don't know there was not a lot of context for that. I mean, yeah, like MJ and Gawain knew about that
they might have been chatting on the way back.
I guess so. I guess
there was time. She changed her shirt even. Come on.
Fairy tale. but Tom is now running to go to her, and he looks so happy, running his way out.
Yeah.
But then he runs into this guy,
Si-chan.
Yeah, who's disguised as a security guard. And he realizes that he can't leave because something bad is going to happen if he leaves. And in the same time, we get the Gorya and her
broken shoelace.
Her shoes.
Yeah.
What is the deal with this? There's so many things. Like the shoe, like it's her shoes, right?
Yeah.
Like Gorya had her shoes ripped up by Tom in the first episode.
And these look almost exactly, because we haven't seen these shoes before.
No.
These look exactly like Shansai's shoes from Meteor Garden.
Oh, they do. Yeah. And Shansai had shoe symbolism all throughout her story. Yeah. That was a big part of her character. So
to me, this is another, like, the sad version of the broken watch. This is, you can no longer walk down this path.
Yes.
What do you think, right? Because you tripped. There's been a trip.
Yeah. And like, as important as shoes are, like, this is also a bad omen.
Yeah, like things breaking, like shoelaces and stuff. Like buttons coming off. That's also like threads breaking. That's all symbolism that somebody's been hurt.
Yeah. Yeesh. And
like, shoes are important to the two of them.
Yeah.
And her shoe being hurt means something.
Something bad is happening to him. Yeah.
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 And she ties it like multiple ways because her shoelaces are like tied together.
Yeah, they're already
broken.
Yeah. Because of her state. I think she's been wearing these the whole time she's been with her family. I think this might be the only other pair of shoes that she has, other than her shoes that she wore to school. So she's had to like repair them. Just like she stitched up the shoe from the first episode, she's had to repair these over and over. Then she trips on it herself. She trips on her own like repair job. But she bends down, and there's a look on her face at one moment that's just like she knows something's wrong. And then we go to the mom is coming out, obviously she's coming out of the conference room. She's faced with a bunch of reporters. She goes down to she tells them like not commenting about anything. She goes down to the lobby where he's waiting with the knife, the guy. And I think at this point is when we have Tom realize, because like, yeah, Tom does realize before that, like, I have to go back. He like has that look, he's gonna turn around, and Tom puts himself between the guy with the knife and his mom. Where have we seen this before, MC? This seems really familiar to me.
I mean, Goya's done it a bunch.
Yeah, but this is Hale and Pupa.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, this keeps coming up in the show. I'm going to put myself in between, death and the person I love and the person I care about. I mean, this is Hale protecting Pupa from the knife, right?
Yeah. And Gorya protecting
Tom
from the chair.
Exactly. Like, this is over and over and over again that we've seen this. And this is Tom Tom's learned this from that experience.
Yeah.
So he's doing it for the worst person in the show.
Yeah.
The one person that people last week were saying, well, if she faked cancer, I don't know if she can deserve redemption.
No, it's coming. This is the equivalent, and I thought about it all day. This is the equivalent of Luke Skywalker saying he will not kill his own father and would rather die.
Yeah.
Like, it is the equivalent of that.
Yeah, it's literally it's everything he's learned. It's everything he's learned. He said, I have to save her, you know?
Yeah, it's because he's willing to have compassion for the worst person that he's ever met, which is his own mother.
Yep.
And that's the hard truth about love.
Yeah.
And compassion is that you're willing to have it for the worst person that you know.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, it kills me. It kills me. So typically, and we didn't mention this yet, but like typically he's the target of the assassination, right?
Yeah.
He's the target always. And the fact that that guy passed him by and just kind of looked at him and just kept walking, I immediately was like, oh, he's not the target. Like, it's perfect. It's so perfect setting up her redemption because this is all her fault.
Yeah. Yeah. And this also it shows like how much he's grown from. Yep. Yeah, he probably couldn't have loved her back when Gorya says he'll never love you, but he has compassion for his mother. And he would rather she exist in the world than not. And that's always what it's down to.
Yep. Oh, so good. So the guy is immediately regretful. Like, he sees what he did and you can just see it on his face. Like, he's like, I didn't mean to do that. Like,
the fall.
I love the freaking fall. I don't care what anybody says.
No, it's good. It's so good. It's just
so
it hurts.
Good.
It
hurts.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it so much.
How did they
so much
do it so well? Did they green screen a mat? He falls.
That's exactly what I think they did. I think
he falls. The second fall is not very far, right? Like, because he's already basically down and he just like drops his shoulders and his head.
Yeah.
So, but I think that they green screened a mat for him to fall, like fall.
I think that he actually fell like somewhere else. I think that I think he's green screened into the shot. So like Rosalyn and the guy and all that's happening and Tom's not actually there, and like Bright's not actually there, and then they filmed Bright in a different, like in front of a green screen falling onto a mat because he would have had to fall further in order to get that like really
they made it work and it looks ouch.
Oh God, I love it so much. I love it so much.
His feet go up.
I love it so much. That's what I'm saying. Like, he had to have fallen like from like a ledge, and then he would have fallen so that he would be straight the whole time, because that's the visual they were going for.
Yeah.
Like, when I saw this, I lost my freaking mind. Like, it is so iconic. And they showed everything. They show Rosalyn being absolutely freaked out. You know, they show the knife exiting his body
and the blood gushing. Yeah.
They show Tom holding the gushing wound. They show him falling. They show Tia's reaction. Like, they showed him hitting his head.
Gorya freaking out, coming through F4. Like, yeah.
Kill me now. It was amazing. And Rosalyn screams Tom, and then Gorya also shows up and she starts to scream Tom, and they cut it right at like the height
we
of
hear
it.
nighttime.
We hear the nighttime song.
The clock stops ticking.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean,
and the line there is the line from Nightline. Yeah, that is the clock stops ticking. So it's like
yeah, everything is frozen now. Yeah.
Oh, but there's also the cameras, right? So as he's going down, all of the paparazzi are all just still snapping their pictures.
Yeah.
And this goes towards like the anti-violence stuff, you know, and like all your bell hooks quotes and everything. Like this is all about how our society thrives on violence. Like we live in this violent world where people capture it and it makes the news.
And Si-chan thought that the only language that Rosalyn understood was violence.
Yep. I mean,
ouch.
Yeah, this was the only way he knew how to respond to her. And that's why he's immediately regretful when he accidentally stabs Tom, because he didn't want that. Like he didn't want it against anyone except for her. So it's so good. It's so good. I'm getting like riled up again because like I can't believe how good this episode was.
Yeah.
Right. Do you have any final thoughts about the episode before we get into the preview?
I appreciated that they managed to get to the crux of all of these character moments. Right? And we talked about it. Like
we talked about it.
Yeah, it's important that they had the resolution with Ren, they had the resolution with Gorya, they had the resolution with Tom, and they did everything that they needed to do, but like they did it in such a really neat way.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it was really, really cool. I'm still stunned.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah, it's so good. Preview.
The meteor shower. The final episode.
Yeah, it's not much.
They basically asking themselves if you believe in wishing upon a star. Falling shooting star.
Because we know like it, so it's interesting that she's waiting outside of the gate, which means like well, there's a few things it could be, but it seems like Rosalyn's not letting her in. Right?
Yeah.
So we might get even a modified version of the hunger strike, just with the fact that this is another moment, like that's another plot line where Gorya fights for him, or where the female lead fights for the male lead, right? The hunger strike is really important to that. So they might combine these things in a different way without, without actual like hunger strike being involved, but she could wait there for him, and she could wait to be let in, and she could wait in the rain and whatever, and that could be that. That's what you want, right? You wanted the hunger strike.
I don't like, I feel like the hunger strike or the amnesia serves the purpose, right? Which is that she has to prove that she loves him and is willing to like be with him wherever he's at,
and fight
for him. Yeah. Like that's what the point of this is to like prove back to him that she loves him.
Yeah.
Because she hurt him.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, and she hasn't had a chance to make up for him and like make up with him. And even though he knows Gorya is there, he knows F4 is behind him, like they needed that resolution. And so it's like in the manga, she kind of says it's almost too cruel, everything that we've been through. When he loses his memory.
Yeah.
Because like
cruel.
Like haven't they done enough?
Yeah.
Right? Well, Gorya hasn't proven that she's kind of willing to be with him no matter what, even if he rejects her.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like turnabout is fair play a little bit. Like he would follow her around, and now she kind of needs to do the same and remind him.
Exactly. Which is why I think it would be interesting if she kept on in that way. Like the fact that she's staying outside of the gate while it's raining, it's just like telling me like she's gonna be Like, I'm going to see him and I'm going to be with him and no one can stand in my way.
And that goes to her power fully realized too.
Yeah. It's
Right.
going to
So
be
that's
awesome.
like where she's at in her journey, is like she has to realize like her power is his power. Like she's already won over the household staff. Like if she really wanted in there, she would find a way. Like it's kind of like that same stuff. It's like you'll find a way.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
And to like not give up.
Yeah. It's going to be so good. The meteor shower. The
meteor
meteor
shower.
Yeah. The meteor shower it's funny to me that they chose to put a bunch of the grass seeds in this particular preview.
They always put them.
They do, but they're really flowing across the.
There's a lot, yeah.
There's a lot more than like usual, and they're through the whole thing. And somebody in our group chat was like arrows, and I'm like, those aren't arrows, they're grass seeds. We've seen them before. I don't know if they were thinking about like the symbology though, about like arrows and all of that, Cupid's arrows, that kind of thing. But it's it's definitely symbolizing that all of the seeds like that like this, because it's her, right? That's her. All the seeds that she's sowing are gonna,
like, we might get Mira back, right? Because we haven't
Yeah.
seen her, and maybe she's there.
I did wonder about that, because we got the flash of like, Mira and Lita like doing good work right now. So it's like that was them, like that could serve the same purpose, but
they might all bring everybody back.
Yeah, they might.
Like,
that
that would be cool. Like,
yeah,
it would be good. I was just kind of thinking, because we've talked a lot about Eros and Psyche and like how much it fits. Like to your point, like how could sort of the hunger strike and the amnesia thing happen at the same time?
Yeah.
Because like Persephone tricks Psyche when she gives her a box which is supposed to contain her beauty, and inside of it is sort of a thing that makes her like pass out at sleep.
Right.
And so like she could pass out outside of the house, and then it means that she has to be brought into the kingdom.
Oh, I like that so much.
Like in Eros and Psyche,
I like that so
Eros wakes up to save her because he realizes that she's hurt outside.
Yeah.
Like on the ground on Earth.
Yeah. See? It could work.
I just had to think about it.
Right? It didn't take you long.
No.
You're like, wait a second.
No, I mean it would work. Like maybe like, okay, so how would this work in F4? In F4. Okay, so like he doesn't remember who she is, but sees that she's passed out and takes care of her anyways.
We have all week to speculate, but this is it. This is my thing. This is amazing. This is amazing.
I mean, it would just fit like all of the other like mythic things that are happening, because like one thing that happens that I think is really important is that when you forget somebody, you don't forget how they make you feel.
Right.
Right. So that's a really big thing with like memory loss, is that if you're angry at somebody, you remember being angry at them. If you're in like physically attracted to somebody, you still remember that. And in the manga, like the main lead, he hates her because of how she's behaving towards him, because she's pushy and she's like, you love me, remember? But I don't know if that's going to happen in this way.
Yeah.
So I just think it would be a really interesting thing if he didn't remember but didn't care. Like in the same way. Yeah. But like but wanted to be around her for some reason.
Yeah, like curious and wanting to keep her around, because he's like, what is this? Why do I feel this way?
Yeah, because like you still remember how you feel, you just don't remember why.
Oh my goodness.
Like it is a thing. Like dementia patients specifically feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good
because it's chemical. And they might not do it in the same way like they've done it in other versions where he's like a really big jerk and then she has to like make him food. Do you think she'll make him cookies?
I thought about it, but I don't think so. I think that was like Hana Yori Dango Japan,
and Boys Over Flowers, she made him lunch boxes.
Right. That was
she's not a huge cooker.
No, and I don't know if that's been established to be like their thing. I think their thing is gonna be more like fighting and being physical, and
their thing is like quid pro quo. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like in the manga, she literally carries him to the hospital.
That's right.
Yeah, she like picks him up and carries him to the hospital. I mean, they're away from like Rosalyn isn't there and the print like the press aren't there and stuff like that. So like she needs to, but yeah. I don't know. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about bingo?
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. We have our friend Mel did a bingo card, and we're going to post that, I guess, soon, like tomorrow or the
like
next
when this
day,
episode comes out. Yeah.
Whenever this episode comes out, we'll post it on Twitter, and we'll try to link it in the liner notes when this episode comes out. And basically, we've done this with Star Wars, and it's just really fun. Like,
and we're gonna be wrong.
We're gonna be wrong, and we're all gonna be wrong together, and it's gonna be great.
It's fun. Yeah, it's fun just to be like, what's gonna be in there, and like, lactose soy product placement the free space? I don't know.
We need to figure out what the free space is for sure. We gotta figure that one out.
I mean, product placement is a safe one because like Prada
just product placement. Yeah, that we should do that. But and you fill in the rest of the squares. Like that's all you put in for your bingo card. Kiss, like
wedding proposal.
Gorya back in her uniform. Whether or not a version of the hunger strike happens, whether or not we get Hanning and Gawin kissing.
Oh my god,
Lord, there's so much that people want to happen. So I want to see everybody's bingo cards. I want to see them all.
Yeah. And the goal is just to have fun, but also to be like, how much of this could you guess? Because people were guessing on Twitter like what would happen this episode and like what would happen until the end of the show. Well, put your speculation on your bingo card.
Yes,
I want to see them. Yes. And then we will talk about them in our live show.
Yeah,
we'll talk about ours and how wrong I was and how right Ty was.
Bull crap. I'm gonna be terrible at it, but I do want to see some people's, if people do get bingo, tag me in those for next week's, because we will definitely talk about that kind of stuff, especially on our live show. It's gonna be really fun.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the live show because it gives us an opportunity to like chat with people and kind of interact with people live and to like reminisce and enjoy like what this show gave us as a fandom.
Yeah.
And like I still like look at the my drama list, like so many people are just waiting for it to be done or like waiting for this week to start it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
a lot of people talking about it. Yeah.
I can't even imagine trying to binge this show. We needed like the rest between each episode.
Yeah. Like,
right? Like,
well, to do what we want to do, like to watch it how we want to watch it. Like, but there are plenty of people that I think that are, legitimately upset with certain choices because they're watching it week to week, because they have to wait an entire week to see the next episode. They're becoming disappointed because they waited all week to build up certain expectations in their head, and they were disappointed when those things didn't happen. And I get it. I get where people are coming from, but I don't know, this show, there's so many reasons why they're making certain decisions. There's so many reasons why they're doing the things that they're doing. And I'd rather see it in that way than be disappointed because Tom and Gorya didn't kiss this week, you know? Like I
Like
understand where people are coming from, but I just don't want to see it from that perspective, because there's so much more that's going on that's like super important.
the main, like, why do we tell stories? And the
Yeah.
moral of this whole story is, like what you said, so much more important than
Yeah.
whether we got a kiss every single week, or we've only
Exactly.
had 3.
Yeah.
Right. Well, okay.
Yeah.
And like one in his imagination.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Because, like, we're talking about something that somebody down the road is going to watch, and it's going to speak to them so fundamentally, to
Mm-hmm.
like to their psychology, like in there, and it's going to take them where they need to go. Like, this is a cultural unconscious myth.
Yeah.
This is going to become formative for a generation of people.
Oh, 100%. 100%. That's why.
Like, more than Meteor Garden did in 2001.
Yeah.
More than Hana Yori Dango did. Like, I hate to be that person that's like, this is going to change people, but it will. It's using all of the psychological resonance that will speak to your subconscious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I know we can't see this now because it's going to affect a generation of people that are probably, younger and maybe
In their teens.
maybe aren't on social media, or if they are, they're not articulating themselves in certain ways on social media. This is going to affect them and stick with them for the rest of their lives, and they might not even understand why until they're adults, or they might never understand why it just does affect
And then they're
them.
going to find F4 Obsessed on YouTube and then be like, oh,
that's why.
oh, oh,
That would be cool.
hey, this show is here all the time now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
This is cool. This is going to affect a lot of people. It's exciting.
And I'm sad it's ending.
Yeah.
I'm happy it's ending, because it's going to end well.
Yeah. And we don't
right?
have to make gifs and slides anymore. Thank goodness.
I mean, it does take up all of Ty's weekend, and that has to be acknowledged, and it takes up a good chunk of my weekend too.
Yeah, and MC did all of the slides and the gifts for the OST deep dives, which people demanded we do, so we had to. But
people demanded that? I forgot. I thought we were just doing it because we were like, yeah, but no, somebody did ask us to do it.
They did. They did. Yeah.
Anytime
anybody asks me to do anything, I'm like,
okay.
People ask me to do a timeline of like all of the dates in the show, like all of the times that we knew like things happened, and I did that.
Yeah, I also like, the fandom has been really wonderful, and probably one of the best fandom experiences I've had since Raylo.
Yeah. I think it's more enjoyable. I'm not going to say better. I think it's more enjoyable for me for a lot of reasons.
It's personally more enjoyable for me as well.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. I think that's the right way to say it. Yeah.
I feel like it's more chill.
Yeah.
And funny, and I'll make like dumb memes. Somebody stole my meme today, and I'm so proud.
I thought that was so funny. I saw that meme. Yeah, had like so many likes. I'm like, this is Marie Claire's meme. Like, I made that person. They didn't have like ill intentions. They didn't steal it. They were just using it to make a joke. But it happened to be your meme.
No, and like I if I make something like that, it's like free what is it? Free press or free trade or whatever. Free knowledge, free. I can't think of words right now. I'm dead.
I got you. It's called free use.
Free use. smart person dumb right now.
I forgot it too for a second. Okay.
But like all of my like what is this shows that I've made, I made up several memes. Somebody else made a meme, I added it to the bottom of this thing. I plan on being like, haha, this is all the memes I made to say what is this show.
It's cool. It's cool to see everything be so pervasive through the fandom, like people saying things and using memes, and it's
and
so cool.
Yeah, like talking about stuff we have talked about on the show has been really, really great.
It's been really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I realized that I've
special.
been saying what is this show about all sorts of stuff for a very long time. I didn't realize it, but then I searched myself saying it, and I've been saying it since 2019.
Oh, that's so funny. Interesting. That's hilarious.
I was like, oh, it's just something I say, right?
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize that until I said it, and I've been saying it so often with this show.
You know what's really funny is I knew that. Like I knew that you've said that before because I've podcasted with you before, and I know that you've said that. Like we talked about Mandalorian, and like we did the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is the show? And
I didn't realize I had said it until people were like, but Marie Claire, what is this show? Like, and I didn't recognize it until it was like reflected back at me.
Yeah. Because then, because people are seeing this the same way. When they start seeing it the same way we're seeing it, they don't really have any other way to express. Like, wait a second. Wait a second. This is like
I mean, they could just like be screaming or crying like us. Like I scream, you cry.
There you go.
I don't know, like, but like, what is this show really does sum up like so much, because like we just thought we were getting another Hana Yori Dango show.
I know, I really did,
and we're like, we really love this story so much that I've done way more research than is reasonable to talk about ever.
Yeah, definitely.
But you know, this show cares about itself, the story, what it's saying. It cares about the audience. It doesn't treat the audience as fools. It loves the audience, and it's like, we got something really important to say. So
yeah, it encourages us to play with the story, and encourages us to talk about the story, and to like it rewards us at the end of the week for doing all of that. And it's so cool. It's so cool to see the creators care about, you know, how people are interacting with it. It's very, very cool.
And I'm really looking forward to like the next layer of analysis that's going to happen, like you're going to do, because I'm sure it's stewing in your brain. You're going to do all sorts of amazing videos. Like this is what happened with like Star Wars. We would talk about Star Wars, and then like a month later, Ty would like blow us all away with this amazing video analysis. So, like, I can't even imagine like what's going to happen after a season of this.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of our audience hasn't really watched the mid-season symbolic breakdown video, but that is what I'm kind of known for. I'm gonna continue to do that.
This is like more traditionally my format, even though you do all the amazing work to make it more visual.
But... Oh, thanks. But I got it from you. I got we kind of did. This is like a combination type of thing, but combining our skill sets. But like once this is over, I'm going to go back to doing video essays, and I really like doing them, and I don't care how many people watch them. I have things I got to get out in video essay format. So I hope y'all stick around and try to watch some of those. And they're not going to be like really long. They're going to be, 8 to 15, 20 minutes. So
you will not regret it, because Ty's video essays are like the best around.
Oh, thanks. I have a style I like, and I'm better at video editing now because of all of my Tom Gorya edits and all of my F4 edits. And like, I've been figuring things out. I've been learning new techniques. So I'm excited to put all that to work. But yeah, that's just me like beating my own drum here. But we can wrap this one up.
So I do want to say something before we wrap up, which is Subway Dates said, It would be really great if we could get trending next Saturday. Thank you for F4 Thailand.
Oh, yes.
So like hashtag thank you F4 Thailand. And get
Hashtag
it,
thank you. Okay, got
yeah,
it.
get it
Yep.
trending on Twitter
Mm.
and like social media, because like Patha, the writers, the cast, the crew, like this has been unbelievable.
Yeah, it really has been. Dare I say life changing.
And remember, we're going to be doing a live show celebration the weekend after when the episode normally airs. So hopefully you guys can all make it. I know it's going to be early for Pacific Coast US time, but it should be
Yeah.
evening or day for rest of the world. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. We'll release more details about that in the coming week, I think.
Yeah, we should probably start tweeting about it this week just so that people can
Yeah.
do stuff. And actually what you can do
Mhm.
is set the live stream schedule.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I got to do that.
Mhm. And then people can like
They know it's
click
there.
to remind by next week, right?
Yep. Totally.
Yeah. But it'll be great. It'll be a celebration. Ty's planning surprise stuff. We're planning lots of
Yeah,
fun
yeah.
stuff. So
Lots of fun stuff for that. So look out for that. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching this or listening wherever you're listening. And stay tuned for next week. We're so excited. Keep the hype up. We're almost done. Love you all. We'll see you next week. Cheers.
cheers.